Now listen here, Hillary. We're a little late tonight. Yes, okay. I had a lot of pressure on me before the show started. So a lot of photos to download, and the guys were chit chatting. I ain't going to get into what they were talking about backstage, but
Yeah, it's probably something we shouldn't share with the ladies.
probably it might get a little messy. But anyway, uh, Jeff's with us here somewhere.
Is he still not back?
Now he's probably taking care of business with the dogs, and he just got in from the farm. So
Hi, Hillary.
um,
Hi, Pat.
everybody in chat, hello. Shut it, Jarence. No excuses. I'm sorry. I got home 5 minutes before 8, so I was a little late getting home. So anyway, we got a good show again. We're back in the wild, wonderful state of West Virginia. We got Little Roger. We got Danny Buckner with us tonight, and the big star of the show is up top row there beside Chad, Les Odell. Les Odell. I don't think he needs a whole lot of introduction. I know he's been around the subject a while, and I've seen him in several documentaries, and it was cool to know that Danny and he researched together and stuff. And I was like, this is a great opportunity to get a great guest on here. You too, Danny. Don't take it wrong. And get Les on here. And Les sent me about 100 photos, but I got 75 of them downloaded. It's all good, brother. It's all good. Now, I'm excited to hear a lot of the stuff that you've been into. Like I say, I've seen you on, I think, Small Town Monsters and some other stuff. And I know you've been doing this for quite a while, but I'm just going to turn it over to you. I guess I'll say hi, Jeff. Stay awake tonight if at all possible. Thank you, Chad, for getting everything started up here for us.
Hey,
This
you know
evening
me.
until I got here.
No
Danny,
problem.
thank you, buddy. Great to have you back again.
Yes, sir.
And, I guess let's just what got you started? Let's just take on. I'm just going to ask the first question and let you roll from there. Why, when, and where?
Well,
About stuff.
it's not quite like a lot of people that you hear that's into this field. You know, you hear people talk about watching the Patterson Gimlin film, or they've seen, In Search of, and they've seen like the Boggy Monster, that film, or they've had a sighting. I was completely different. I started out basically as a paranormal investigator, and that stemmed from an experience I had as a kid, and I was around the age of 7 to 8. We moved into this farmhouse, and when I was younger, we moved around quite a bit. And later, I found out that's basically was because of my dad, because of his stint in the Vietnam War. He just did not stay in an area too long. For some reason, he just couldn't. But we moved in this old farmhouse, and from the time we moved in there, I had the weirdest feeling, the oddest feeling that I was being watched. I know some people are going like, oh, that's crazy. It's a kid's imagination, but possibly. But then things started to happen. The one thing that really sticks in my mind and what got me started in things is my brother and I shared a bedroom. We had bunk beds. I was on the bottom bunk. He was, and I started to notice these shadows that look like kind of blob shadows on the far wall from where our bed was at, or across the room, I should say, and they would move from one corner from right to left, and they would move across this wall, and I would just kind of freak out. I'd try to scream for my dad. Wasn't able to do that. I'd cover my head up. Eventually, I'd fall asleep, or when I'd look, they wouldn't be there anymore. Well, that happened several times, and I remember. Well, I shouldn't say several. Three times I remember very distinctively, and I remember on the third time that, or I can't. How am I to state this? I remember seeing the shadows move, and then there was one time that I remember seeing this tall shadow in the corner, diagonally from our bed, and it would just look like, to me, like it was watching these other shadows, just like it would look in that direction, because this thing looked like a humanoid type shape. It had his head, shoulders, arms, torso, but nothing below the waist other than this straight, flat, like black collar. This thing was black in color from head to toe. And I remember the same thing. I would try to scream for my dad, couldn't do it. some people are like, oh, you had sleep paralysis. No, I remember moving. But on the third time, I remember seeing this thing. Instead of me like trying to cover my head, I sat up in bed and like scooted back into the corner of where the bed was in the corner of the room, and I scooted back into the corner. And when I did that, this thing went from looking at these shadows as they walked across the room, turned toward me, come across the room like almost like it's like seemed like instantly come over to the bed, ducked under the top bunk, put his hands down on the bed, and was within 8 to 10 inches from my face. And I can remember there was no facial features. There was just the shape, and it looked like the blackness inside this shape rolled, like it was like smoke inside this shape. I mean, I thought it was forever, but eventually, it turned, went away, went out through the door into my mom and dad's bedroom, toward that bedroom. And that was the last time I seen it. And we moved again, not too long after that. But instead of running from that, that and having fear, for some reason, it's struck a very, very deep interest in me in the paranormal stuff. I was, like I said, 7 or 8 years old. I would listen to stories. I'd find little books at the library or the school library, and I'd read them. My grandma would tell stories all the time. I'd listen to those stories. And then as I got a little bit older, people knew I was into that kind of stuff, and they would tell me things. And then I got to where I was 22 when I got married the first time. So my son came around a year after that, because he was born the first year of my marriage. So I was 23, and by the time he was 4, my wife and I at the time, we split up. We just was young. We split up, but he would come over every weekend, and we would do certain things. And then I asked him one weekend, I said, what would you like to do? He said, and this is like when ghost hunters and all that stuff was starting up. And he's like, I like to go ghost hunting, Dad. So we went out and we bought, the little tape recorders and stuff like that, a couple little cameras, or we would carry the little disposable cameras. And we did that. And he got a little bit older. We decided to start a small group. We started a small group, done a lot of investigations, a lot of different places, some bigger locations, some private locations, and things of that nature. Well, as everything, life happens, stuff goes on. The group kind of split up, and me and my son still talked about things, and we would do stuff on our own. And then one day he goes, Dad, what do you think about Bigfoot? And I'm like, well, I mean, I like it. I mean, I'm interested in it. I know about the Patterson Gimlin film and all this stuff. And I was like, I've always been into some of the cryptids, like, Nessie and stuff like that. So we talked about it a good bit. I started listening to podcasts. The first time I really started listening to podcasts, I listened to Sasquatch Chronicles, the Confessionals, and things like that. And again, we talked more and more about the subject, and we were like in conversation. Both of us kind of agreed it would be really cool to start something where people in West Virginia could share their stories, their encounters. It didn't matter what it was, whether, Bigfoot, aliens, ghosts, I didn't care. So we started that page, and it was called West Virginia Cryptids and Strange Encounters. I'm trying to remember what year it was, but it was in October. By the time February come around, we had like 300 people on the page, and I was like super excited. 300 people. That's awesome. Yeah. I shared one ghost story from Huntington, West Virginia. It's about a hitchhiking ghost in Huntington called the Fifth Street Ghost. That took hold. People just started liking it. And from February to like April, we went from like 300 to 3,000 people, and it just continued to grow. And I think there's like 20 some thousand people in there, 23,000, something like that. But as it progressed, I would share something every day, whether it was a ghost story, and then I was doing creature of the day, and I would find different weird, like cryptids or some other type of creature in West Virginia and share that. And I shared one about a Bigfoot creature, and it took hold. People started messaging me, hey, I've seen that. I mean, I've experienced this. I've heard this. And then it just kept going. I would go out and talk to these folks, and I would investigate, or I say investigate, I guess you say, or I would just look around their property if they want to. And then I started getting into looking into reports from other areas, things like that, or from other resources and going to those areas and camping and I started meeting a few people that was like-minded, like my friend Tammy. I was actually at a Dollar Tree. I was buying a few things to go camping, like some food stuff. And I had a shirt on that said, "Hey, if you know anything about Bigfoot, you want to talk Bigfoot, come talk to me." And she comes up and talks to me, and she said, "Are you into that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Well, I found out Tammy's been into this way longer than I have. So we become real good friends, and basically, I consider her my big sister. I mean, we've got to know each other very well. And again, I've met a lot of people doing this, and then I met Danny and a few others, and there's how it's led up to now. We go out and we check stuff out, and we investigate what people call us about, or we just go out and look at stuff, and try to make sense of what we find. Not always, is it Bigfoot related, in my opinion, but I do like to try to, I guess with my background as a paranormal investigator, I'm more one of the debunker type. So that's kind of what I like to do. Try to more explain things, what we find, than just jump right into thinking it's Bigfoot related.
I think that's how you got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean,
mind to everything. Yep.
Yeah. You got to kind of, is that a whatever, or I think you have to do that.
Yeah.
That's the only way you're going to prove that something's real, if you try to debunk it first. And then, because you're going to prove it, if it's real, it's real.
Right. And I ask a lot of questions.
Yes, you should.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how you learn.
Yep.
Yeah.
But,
well, I think a lot of people should do that. Ask questions. But I also think when you ask those questions, you may get an answer from somebody, but you also sometimes shouldn't take that answer as the gospel. Go out there and figure out on your own what you're finding, what works for you. Don't always regurgitate what somebody's saying or what they do, because sometimes if they're not getting the best results, maybe you just need to switch it up a little bit, find a different way to do it, your way, or just tweak it a little bit. And then if you do, share that with others. Don't be one of these people that just hold everything like, I can't tell you this, I can't tell you this. No, if we're going to figure out what these things are, we have to share all our information.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Absolutely.
100%. 100%.
But like you said, there's too many people out there that are trying to keep everything secret. But to me, that's just for their show. That's for them to possibly be the first, to say, I saw this, and this was and they're not really helping the community much, because keeping it to yourself definitely doesn't. It doesn't make other people open their eyes. You're not giving them anything to look at.
Well, I understand when there's circumstances where you go to a location and the people are like, please don't share this, please don't share that. That's very important to me. People's privacy is to me the utmost importance.
I agree.
I
agree.
If they don't want me to put their story out there, I don't. I mean, I've collected a bunch of encounter stories. I got some that was put into a book. You can ask my wife. I've talked to people on the phone for hours and hours and hours, but you'll never see that anywhere because they don't want me to share it, and I won't. And the reason I ask everybody, do you mind if I share your story? And a lot of people have figured this out. If you're comfortable enough to share that story, you're going to find out there's other people that's had that same experience. So,
Les, I'll say this: I was at a little cafe here in town and today, and these two guys that I guess they were riding cross country or whatever around on motorcycles around where I live, and I was telling them a little bit about our town, and then I mentioned that I had a couple podcasts that I do. I have my podcast that I do with my wife, and then this one. And I said, yeah, you're not going to, our other one I do is called, Old Line Cryptids. It's about, we talk about Bigfoot and sightings and stuff. And he's like, he turned around, one of them looked at me and said, you believe in that? And I was like, wholeheartedly. I've never seen one, but from the amount of experiences I've talked to people about and knowing, there's creatures out there that we still haven't even discovered. I believe it's 100% true. Well, as they were getting up leaving, this guy leaned over. One of them leaned over and he goes, I believe in him too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just it. He probably would have never said anything, until I said, I believe in him. And he's okay. I'm comfortable now telling you I believe in him.
Yeah.
Right. I just see
I think the subject has opened up more in recent times now, where people are less likely to talk about the subject. I found, and like I've brought up before in initiative truck and tractor pulling, that that's my main thing. I have a lot of, backwoods guys that are into the sport, and they will actually talk about it. And there's some that won't, but a lot of them will tell you, not that they've seen them or anything, but they believe. But there was a time you probably wouldn't have gotten that response.
Oh, I agree.
It's definitely in the
I
forefront.
think the old timers here,
Yeah. Same here.
definitely, especially my grandfather.
Yeah.
I mean, all the
Yeah,
stuff
we'll
that went
talk.
on around here, he wouldn't need. He'd always change the subject on it. Although
Yeah.
one time I had a run in with one screaming at me back here. I come back to the barn freaking out. I run in his house and we slammed the door. That was when I figured out you could make a tractor go airborne. He looks at me and he goes, well, you remember those tracks I found, don't you? And that was all he said.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Danny can attest to this. The comfort level here in West Virginia has just now coming into its own. 10 years ago, you never really heard anybody talk about this at all. You really didn't. And when you did, it was usually some stories from some of the, the back hauler, older folks, but they never called it Bigfoot or Sasquatch. It was something else. It was a wood booger, or it was old man, the hairy man, the old man. Yeah.
Forest people.
So they didn't really talk about, to them, it wasn't the same thing. It's completely different. And that's why the little book that I have, it says Old Man of the Mountain, the West Virginia Bigfoot, because how that came about is at the West Virginia Bigfoot Museum, they had this old gentleman that done chainsaw carvings, and he brought this chainsaw carving in of this, this Sasquatch, Bigfoot, or whatever you want to call it. And Laurel was like, hey, that's Bigfoot. And he said, no. He said, that's something different. He said, that's out in the Pacific Northwest. She goes, no, that's Bigfoot. And he's like, no. He said, that's the Old Man of the Mountain. They're not the same. These are forest people. And that's how the title came to be about from my book, because after I started looking into that, I found out that a lot of older folks, and like I said, the back hauler folks, that's what they would call it, especially in the southern part of the state.
Well, like if you were in the South, there was I can't remember, it might have been Matt Knapp on Bigfoot Crossroads talked about his grandmother, giving him hell for, oh, you looking for Bigfoot. And then he said they were describing it one day. She's like, are you talking about a booger?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And she's like, yeah, I've seen them things before. And like people just,
See, I had never heard the term booger used until I was watching Roger's show.
Yeah.
One night, and I was like, that's another word, but I'd never heard that as used that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Les said, a lot of people don't want to talk about it, and as they get older, they realize it's like, I can. They see the way things are today and what people have and what people do, and it's like, well, I'll see stickers on people's vehicles, and it's like, hey, do you believe in Bigfoot, or have you seen anything? It's like they won't say anything at first, and then I'll run into them in the store, and they'll come up and say,
yeah,
well,
there's a reason they put those stickers on their car. Now it's either to be hip or think they're hip or whatever, or it's because they've seen it and they believe in it. And I said the same thing around here, and I'm not going to talk much more because we need to get less talking, but about the big metal Bigfoot things that everybody puts in their yard. And I told my wife one day, I was like, what we need to do is just start going door to door. Now I live in Middle Tennessee and on top of the plateau. So I said, we should go door to door where all these houses are with the big Bigfoots and see if these people have seen them. And then I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't just drive up some of their driveway. Out in the middle of the field there. I thought about it. Maybe we won't do that. So,
Well, a couple years ago, you're talking about those cutouts and stuff. A couple years ago, I was actually, my wife was contacted by a local town and said, "Hey, we know your husband's into Bigfoot. Would he want to do a float for our parade, for a Christmas parade?" And we're like, "Yeah, absolutely." And we took this cutout and we mounted it on my trailer and we put packages around it, and we put this like sweater. Oh, actually, it was a tablecloth that I cut to look like a sweater. So we're driving through this little town, and Santa Claus is, they're like just, whatever. Everybody every little kid, oh my God, it's Bigfoot, it's Bigfoot. And people just loved it. And they've invited us to come back every year. And sadly, we couldn't do it last year, but we're hoping to do it again this year. And I mean, that makes me, stuff like that makes me glad, or it makes me proud to do what I do. It's not the glory of me finding anything or doing anything. It's being able to see this subject get out there, and whether it's with the older folks or whether, kids get an interest in it. And I just find that absolutely fascinating. And that's, to me, that's one of the best things, along with, like, when I go to these events, it's not going sitting there selling anything for me. I don't really care if I sell a damn thing at these events. I'd love to talk to the people at these events. I had a guy that messaged me one time when I was at an event he said, "I'd like to talk to you one-on-one." And he come up to the table, and there's a few people there, and he said, "Hey, I'm so-and-so." And I'm like, "Give me 1 minute." And I told everybody, I said, "Hey, I got it. I promised this guy I'd talk to him." And I left my table and went to the side to talk to him, because he had some things he would like to tell me. And that to me is very important. When somebody feels confident enough or is comfortable enough to want to talk to you about what they've experienced, listen to them. Don't just push them aside, or ignore, or brush them off. Listen to them. And I think that's why people's like, why do you think so many people have contacted you? I was like, honestly, I think it's because I make it comfortable for people to talk.
That's exactly right.
So.
well, yeah. I mean, when you start talking about it, or they know you talk about it.
Yeah.
They know you're not going to call them crazy. That's for
Well, sometimes it's not just talking. Sometimes it's just a lot of people just want somebody to listen.
I agree.
For example, down around Danny's area, a guy called me from down there. He said, "Hey, I've been having some experience or some activity on my property." And I was like, "Okay, I'll come down." And I walked up to him, and he had a picnic table in his yard. And he goes, "Hey, you want to go here? Well, I'll show you this. I want to go here. I'll show you this." And I'm like, "No." He said, "Well, ain't that what you guys do? You have to go look for the evidence." I said, "No." I said, "Buddy, let's sit down." And I said, "You tell me what you've experienced." And I just sat there and he talked for 2 hours, and I listened to him for 2 hours. And that was the best thing. He told me, he said, that was the best thing I could have done, because he needed to share with people, or share with somebody what he was experiencing. And I didn't care if I seen or dealt with anything or found or seen anything. I knew that's what he needed. So
I've spent several long phone conversations with people since I started doing this.
I've seen people on these shows, Les, that have spilled their guts out of their their experience, and that you didn't have to ask them questions; they would tell you everything. And then I've seen people break down.
Right.
It was they finally got it off their chest and they could talk about it.
Right. And that's how you know when they're genuine, because when they have those reactions, you could see the reaction. Because if you have had an experience and you talk about it, you relive that experience. You can see it in people's emotions. You can see it in their mannerisms. You see, that those folks are telling the truth. Whether there is a chance that maybe they didn't see anything, or maybe they did see something, but they misunderstood it, or they took it the wrong way. But to them, they experienced that, and that's the same thing as if they actually did. In their mind, they had that experience. So sometimes they need somebody to talk to.
Yep.
Yes, I think it's all about awareness, and you got to listen to everybody it's up to the person listening to judge what you feel it may have happened, may not have happened, and I think there's a lot of unique instances from different people from different areas. You got to listen to everybody.
Yeah,
I've never
was-
called any. I don't call people liars unless you lie to me. So everybody I hear tell their experience. I mean, for most part, I'm telling everybody I believe you. You know, I can.
Right.
I wasn't there. I can't doubt what you're saying. But excuse me. There have been times where I've listened to people, and it's a little out there sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, it's really. I wasn't there. I'm not telling him it was out there. I'm just like, okay, we need to, you know, maybe you didn't.
Yeah, Chad, like you said, you weren't there, but yeah, you can listen to them and
Yeah.
talk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and your line of questioning sometimes is important. You'll go through and you talk to somebody, you'll get the details. Sometimes you got to come around and circle around and get that question out there again, but maybe in a different way, and see how that, you know, measures up to the first time. Is it the same? Did something change? And then sometimes I'll ask what I call trigger questions. And what I consider those are, you know, they're telling that story, but they may forget little details, you know, some small details. So I'll just throw in, hey, what was the weather like that day? Was it sunny? Yeah. And I've had people like, yeah, you know, yeah, it was extremely sunny. Oh, by the way, I remember seeing the shininess of the hair, you know.
Okay.
So that's kind of what I do. You know, that's kind of things I do like that. And then there's other things that I do. Like I carry these little 4x4 pictures that I found online several years ago. You can find them all over the place now, but they're faces of supposed Bigfoot, you know, people have seen. So they made CGI renderings, whatever you want to call it, artist rendered. And there's one particular guy that makes them. I can't remember his name right offhand, but I carry about 20 or 25 of those. And if I go to somebody and it's kind of like that, but they're I'd have to get my book out. It's not quite those ones though. They're actually CGI renderings. And now you make me want to look for them. Anyway, I will show them. I was like, you know, what I do is I'll say, hey, I'll use them as a kind of like a lineup. Pick one that looks like what you've seen, or pick features from multiples, you know, and maybe I can get a kind of a mental image myself. But I also use what I call a BS tale. And the reason I call it that is if you watch folks when they're looking at these pictures, you'll see them have that trigger. They're going to react to it. And if I put the pictures out and they're like, oh yeah, that's it. Yeah. You're probably BSing me, you know, most likely. But I'll listen to your story, but I'm not going to take it for 100%. But if I can see, you can watch their face, you can watch their eyes, you know, watch their different body language, you learn. And, you know, that yeah, they're telling the truth, or they're, you know, they're telling you they feel is 100% genuine.
It's sort of like a police lineup. You know, you're looking at, not that all of us have been in a police lineup, but you're looking for the features that you saw. Makes sense.
Yeah. So I like to use those in investigations and when I talk to folks about them.
It's a good idea.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Hey, that's me in the upper right hand in that one corner in the top.
I think
no, it's not. It's not talking.
I'm still here. These dogs have been making a ruckus in this house.
Don't know where they get it from.
Here,
That's
here they are. Here's some of them right here.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys can see them.
Hold on a second. I'll enlarge your screen so we can see them a little better. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Excellent. Excellent. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know, somewhere between 20 and 25 of them. Some of them look like an ape. Some of them look more, maybe you get more of a human look to them. But yeah, a lot of people think it's a great way to give their information out, you know, for them to actually show me what they've seen. Like this one here, just for example. I don't know if you can see that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That one there, a guy in near Fayetteville, West Virginia, down in a town called Denise. That's exactly. I mean, that's what he believes he's seen was something like that right there. And he actually supposedly, there. I sent you the pictures, Jerry. There's 3 pictures in there of the picture of the thing he took pictures of. So, I mean, I'll let me just let me see if I can.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in West Virginia.
Oh yeah, there's all kind of weirdness here.
What do they have pictures of?
He took a picture of what he's seen, him and his wife.
In the woods?
Yeah, it's
Yep. I think I got a couple here that might be it. Let me get it started up here.
Since I've been in such an ordeal here, I forgot to ask you, Wes. Do you ever go to the Monongahela?
yeah, that's where I do a lot of it. A lot of my
Oh Lord,
yeah.
there's one place I've been turkey hunting in there that I don't think you could ever talk me into going back to,
Oh yeah,
and that's Green Mountain.
where's that at? About where's that at?
It's right on the border of Randolph and Tucker.
Okay.
It's I think the place we were real close to was Devil's Peak or Devil's Lookout or something.
Right. That's kind of odd. The reason
That place is creepy.
Reason I say that, a coworker that I have, we were talking about that yesterday. He's new and he found out what I do, and he's like, I've heard stuff, and I'm like, where at? And he told me exactly. He didn't tell me that. He said I have a farm on the border of Randolph and Tucker County, and that's pretty cool.
I'll be done.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Is that up near Otter Creek Wilderness?
I can't remember. It was like 2020 when we were there.
Red Run Falls.
I have to look it up on a map.
I looked it up to see because we talked about that the other day.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly where it was. That was the first and last time we went there. Well,
yeah. If you look at that picture right there, right dead center, that's what he's claiming was the creature, I guess you'd say. The very cool thing about it is he's seen this thing in October of 19, I believe it was 2019. What happened is Billy Humphrey, yes, Hillary, Billy Humphrey. And what happened is his wife had shot a bear, and they had this blind out, and they were putting food out, and they shot this bear. Well, they decided to put more food out later on in the year, and they kept putting out different types of, corn. They'd put out old vegetables or they'd go to the local market, get old produce. They put it out and whatnot. And they started noticing that the food was coming up missing like quick, like almost overnight. But they kept putting food out. Billy went one evening and decided that he was going to take this little motion light behind the blind and stick it in the tree. So he puts this little tiny solar motion light up behind the blind, and he's sitting in the blind, and he noticed that the light kicks on, and so he's not thinking about anything, but it doesn't I guess click with him that whatever turned this light on had to be something big. So he said that something walked in front of the light and it made a shadow. So it goes on about, goes away, and he's sitting there and he's talking to his wife on the phone. He said, hey, something feels weird up here. He said, it just feels off. So he goes back home. A few days later, him and his wife both go up, and they're both in the blind, and he's sitting there fiddling with like his calls. He had this board inside of his blind, and he had all these calls hanging on this board, and he's fiddling with them. He's arranging them the way he wanted. And he said, all of a sudden his wife goes, oh my God, there he is. And he's thinking, a bear. He goes, what, a bear? Another bear? And she goes, no, Bigfoot. And he said he looks up and he can see out from the blind. It was when I done the measurements, 160, 65 feet away, something like that. And he sees this thing standing there. And he takes his phone. He had a little crappy little flip phone, and he pulls it up like, real slow, and takes basically, like he said, like a hip shot through the hole on the blind. And that's the picture that he got. He said either this thing heard me move or somehow heard the camera, but when he took the picture, it turned, swung its arm around, screamed, and just took off barreling down through the woods. So I went down. I talked to him because he contacted somebody that we have is a mutual friend, and David contacts me. He said, "Hey, I think you should go down and talk to this gentleman." So I went down. I talked to him. He told me the whole story and everything. And I've been back here a couple times, and his story's always been the same. But the second or third time I was there, I decided to ask you a few different questions. This and this and that. Has anything weird ever happened here? Has anything, other than that, has you heard other noises? Anything ever hit the house? Things like that. And he's like, no, not really. And then something happens down to his chicken coop, like some kind of noise. He goes, hey, I got to go take care of that. He said, I've had some cats coming in here. He said, I got to see if that's what's going on. But when I was talking to him and his wife both, I could tell his wife had something she wanted to say. And I looked at her and was like, hey, Billy's not here. I said, have you experienced something, because I could tell you're, kind of keeping something, away from him, or, and she kind of was reluctant. She goes, yeah. She goes, a year before we seen this thing, she goes, it was a nice day. I went, decided to wash all the linens. She goes, I took it out, put everything on a clothesline. And, she showed me the clothesline. It was pretty long, it was decently long clothesline. She goes, after, and the amount of time I thought that it would need to dry, I went back out. She goes, I got my basket. I'm starting to take stuff down. She goes, I looked down at the far end of the clothesline at the other T-post. And she goes, I look on the T-post, and she goes, there's a pair of coveralls hanging on T-post. And then she's like, wait a minute, I didn't wash any coveralls. So she moved, and then this thing moved. And when it moved, she dropped the basket and screamed. It turned, screamed, and took off. And basically, she said, never jumped, stepped over a 4-foot fence and ran in the same direction as the one before.
Wow.
And I was like, was it the same one? She goes, no, this one was much smaller. She said it was not quite as tall. It was lanky, but not quite as, not as big as the other one. And the really cool thing about the other one that Billy and her kept telling me, and if you pull that picture again up, Jerry, you'll see these little white spots. And he said, right, yeah, I'm trying to point it out on her. You'll see these little white spots. Like if you look at the top, you'll see a cone head, and
Yes.
go down a little bit, go down, right there. Those there.
Yeah.
He said there was white hair underneath the eyes, just above the cheeks, or just on the cheeks. And that was really cool. That that was something he said, and it was very, very odd, feature. But then a couple years later, another gentleman calls me, and he said, hey, he said, I don't believe in this stuff. He said, I really, really have never had any thoughts on it. He said, but I found you online, and he said, I have a question. He said, I don't know what I seen. He said, but I was taking my kids to school, and he goes, first he asked me, he said, do you know what kudzu vine is? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. He said, what grows over? It grows everywhere down here. I'm like, yeah, I've been in that area. And he's like, well, I'm taking my kids to school. And he said, I see these two hands come out through the kudzu vine, pull it back. He said, and this head pops out. And I'm like, what did it look like? Well, he went ahead and he described it. And Jerry, if you look, you'll see a drawing. One of the pictures I sent you is a drawing. Okay. And I said, can you sketch it? And he sketched it, and he sent it to me. And as soon as I seen this picture, and I asked him, I said, have you ever heard of Billy Humphrey? And he's like, no. He said, I no. I said, well, there's a very famous sighting from a couple years ago in Denise. And he's like, no, he said, I told you, I don't follow this. He said, I've never really got into it or anything. He said, but I don't know how to explain what I've seen. And if you look in his drawing, what do you see under its eyes? You can see that white hair, running right down on both sides. And I asked him, I said, how far are you from Denise? And he said, I'm about somewhere between 50 and 60 miles.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I thought that was really cool. To me, his encounter, gave Billy's sighting credibility, and I think Billy's gave his credibility because there seems to be a lot of similarities in what they both seen, in my opinion, and the short, relatively short distance that they're from each other. Also,
What about a time frame?
It was actually like a year or so after,
Okay.
somewhere close to a year. He didn't contact me until almost probably a year after he had his sighting, if I remember right.
Okay. This man is curious because obviously one will definitely travel that far.
Yeah.
But or is it a trait of a family?
Right. That's what because if you look, he shows it as being like more reddish color in his drawing. Well, Billy says it was more of a brown, dark brown. That's what I'm saying. I'm not sure if they've seen the same creature. It may be just a trait in that area. Maybe this was more of a juvenile or younger, or maybe a female or something. But it was just pretty neat that they both had that white markings under its eyes.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay.
Well, a redhead in human isn't, if I'm not mistaken, because I know a lot of people that have had red hair when they were younger. My sister, example, when she was younger, her hair was almost orange, and she's older now, and she has got like a strawberry colored hair, strawberry blonde almost. It has changed. Could it be something like that?
No, I don't think it's. I think it's probably more. It's a different creature, but it may be in the same family or something, or that big male. That might be something that's in his genes, and he's passed it along somehow.
Right.
But I don't think they were the same creature.
I guess that's what I was meaning. Like that one, the drawing was of a younger version of the other one, so it'd be like a younger one.
Yeah, the drawing actually does give me the impression of a younger.
Yeah.
Very strong.
I got to look up that spot where I was at in West Virginia so I can send it to you guys. I think it was. Did you say Otter Creek?
Yeah, Otter Creek Wilderness. That's there's part of it's over in outside of Parsons, part of it's outside of Elkins. But yeah, it's a pretty good size area.
I got to ask Josh where exactly that was, because I know we were right there on Randolph and Tucker, and it was.
I just sent you a picture of that area.
Creepy. That place. Let's just say I've never seen my buddy walk back from his trout fishing spot with his pistol in one hand and his rod in the other.
Well, there's a lot of reports from that area. An old gentleman that Danny and I both know. His name is Daniel Boone Smith. He's taken.
I guess he spends a lot of time in the woods.
That's his area. That's where he's from, and he's taken dozens and dozens of reports from that area.
That was one of the creepiest places I've ever been to. I had something made me turn around and walk out of this one spot we were turkey hunting.
Patrick, I'm from Marion County.
Yeah, Pat's over in Hinton. I actually went up there or down there back in October. We were riding around and actually found a spot where we had a guy that had an encounter story we found out about after I left.
I told him about
I got a guy for you.
When we were down there that weekend.
What, down around Bluestone?
Yeah, when we were down around Bluestone a little bit.
Yeah.
I told him how we went down and tried to find the area and couldn't find it. But we was down there pretty close. And then I went down a few weeks later and kind of found the area, and it was kind of creepy.
No, but we found Dave Canterbury down there.
Yeah, with Dave Canterbury. That was a fun weekend.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Danny and I were down there doing some research. There's a couple pictures that I sent you about from that area too, Jerry. But the neatest thing that happened is Danny and I were out. We was driving around. We went out, done a little bit of hiking, and was heading back to our camp. And we seen one of these, the Rangers from the Bluestone area right there. And we pulled in. We're like, "Hey, have you ever seen anything?" He said, "Well, you mean Bigfoot?" And we're like, "Yeah." He's like, we're like, "How you know?" And he's like, "Well, you do have Bigfoot all over your damn truck. It was in Danny's truck." So we talked to him. He said, "No, I've never seen anything. I don't even know." He said, So we went on about our way. We were sitting down at the camp, and we're doing like what we normally do. We're looking at local reports, that we've printed off and brought to study, and looking at maps, trying to map them out, and listen to recordings and stuff like that. All of a sudden, here comes a ranger pulls in our camp, behind my truck in our camp, and we're thinking, "Oh man, what do we do? We in trouble?"
Yeah.
Here he comes.
Was there.
He really was there. He just pulls in, comes walking up, and like, "Hey, gentlemen," and we thought we was in trouble. And he went on to tell us. He said, "There's been some people that have seen this here and there that." He just opened up. He went from
Wow.
no, I never, and he just like, I'm just going to tell you what I've had people tell me. That in this area, people have seen something or heard something, and we just thought that was the coolest thing. He just out of the blue said, "Yeah, I'm deciding."
Say he was a ranger.
Yep.
See, I had the same incident over here. Unfortunately, and he just poof. I've never seen him again. Over here to State Park that we always stay out with the RV that I actually got a photo from. And I don't know if he was told by the lady that was the camp host or whatever, or something was said and said, "Don't you go talk to him," because he was going to come to my campsite that evening. That I talked to him at the entrance. Never showed up. Never seen him again. I still haven't seen him. That's been 3 or 4 years ago now. But they will talk. He was ready to talk. He had stories to tell.
I still want to know why
location.
that guy, the night I was that week we camped together down there.
Yep.
That park guy at the gate was like shutting down early. Like he's leaving, and I'm like, "Don't you have to be here for like a couple more hours to what is he?"
Well, there's a camp host there when you come in.
Yeah.
That
Well,
will
this
take care
guy's
of stuff
getting in his
after
truck,
hours.
and I'm like, "Don't you need to?" He's like, "No, you're good," and he just gets in the truck and leaves.
Well, they go.
I'm like,
those guys do every park here in the county, so they're constantly moving.
Yeah.
But even the guys that were mowing, as soon as it got dark, they quit and left.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's kind of weird. Why are they getting out of there?
Yeah.
I see Patrick says heard one at Babcock State Park. Danny and I were at Babcock that same weekend, or not that same weekend. When what? No, you didn't go to Babcock. I went. Sorry,
No,
I was at Babcock with a gentleman I know, Larry Sidwell. He's a BFRO investigator. They were having a BFRO camp out or whatever. He invited me to come down, and I was down there with them talking to him, and we heard some vocals. And one of the guys that were there after I had left said they had a Class A sighting at Babcock State Park, and Babcock State Park is literally, Patrick, 10 minutes from where Billy had his sighting. It's literally
Denise.
10 minutes up the road.
That place I was talking about earlier, Pat said right there was Barton Ridge. That was outside of Hinton.
Barton Ridge, yeah.
Yeah.
Les, I'm gonna start following through some of these photos. There's quite a bit of them here.
Okay.
Let's see. Get it out of over here.
Okay. There's several of those on there. And what's really cool, what's neat about these is this was a lady outside of Kaiser, West Virginia, found these footprints on the road. She tried to reach out to some people, and one of the first places she reached out to was a Pennsylvania Bigfoot page, and she got ridiculed, made fun of and everything like that. Nobody wanted to go talk to her about them, and she just was looking for some kind of answers about these footprints. And right off to me, they look human. Absolutely, they look human.
Mhm.
So I made the trip to Kaiser. I met with her. I met with another local guy down there that I know. It has kind of just the same, and they were really interested because they had that long gait or long stride, and they were in line. So I went down, I looked at them, done my investigation, looked where they came from, found where they originated from, across the fence in the field, down at a small cow pond, this little water hole down in the field. And I told my buddy that was there, I said, those are human prints where somebody's wearing socks. He said, and I said, they had pants on. He said, no way. They wouldn't leave a print like that. I was like, because they talk about the splatter and they talk about how the mud would splatter off. I said, that's where the pants were. They were deep in that mud and the mud splattered. And the harder they ran, the more the mud come down the pants. And that's why it splatters. And I said, your footprint will show through a sock like that. He said, no. He said, I'm a retired, whatever, investigator, police investigator, or army investigator, something. I forget what he told me. He said that won't happen. I literally took, and if you look, there'll be a couple of them in there. I literally took my thermos I had water in, and I dumped it on the ground, took my shoes off, stepped in the water, ran, made the same prints, and actually matched his stride, even though I'm only like 5'8", and matched that stride and proved that these are just human prints, that got left where somebody was down in the pond for some reason. They may have gotten, because when I was down in the pond, there was a big old bull come down over the hill. They may have been in that same field, and a big old bull come down over the hill. Maybe that's what they thought. I'll get into the pond. It'll leave us alone, and lost their shoes or something in there. I don't know. And to me, that's all they were. And see, those are my prints, where I stepped in the water and walked and ran off the same prints. But you see the splatter off to the left, and in between.
Indeed. Yep.
That to me, that's just where the pants were muddy, and as the legs were swinging, But she wanted answers. Right. And nobody would help her, so that's why I went and basically educated her, or I guess you'd say, or just helped her out understand what was going on.
Yeah, very interesting. Good call too.
Somebody must have been in a situation. They're running down the road like that.
Yeah,
might have been one of them stories before we came on live.
Yeah.
Is that you, Roger?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I had to cough.
Anyway, okay, yeah, that's interesting. It'll definitely make you look and second think everything. But yeah,
there's probably some guy running from a booger ran out of his shoes.
Yeah, it could be. You never know. Let's see.
That one there is in Rollsburg, outside of Rollsburg. Me and my son stopped. We were at Rollsburg. We was actually down that way. We was doing a little father-son trip. We was picking berries and stuff. And my son walks up on this mud part. He said, "Hey, Dad, I think I found a footprint." And that's the print he found. We left it. I'm like, man, I can't. So I went back the next day. Actually, it was dry. I actually casted it for him. There's some pictures of him with there, and we took it to the Bigfoot Museum, and they agreed to put it in. There's the cast, and what I do with a lot of my casts is I do like a crayon. I take crayon and a piece of paper, and I do a rubbing, and it won't show a bunch of detail, but a lot of times it'll pick out the toes and stuff better than what the cast you show. Yeah. So that's it. And the Bigfoot Museum said, "Yeah, we would love to have this in our museum." And he's actually got his little cast down there in a case with his picture and stuff.
Yeah, that's actually, look at that. You can really see it better here with your.
Yeah.
I see that. Huh.
Mason's an awesome little dude.
Well, the first time I ever did that, it was in 2020. There's where me and Danny were doing when the Ranger come up. But I found this print, the first print I ever found it was in 2020. And I casted it. I brought it home and I cleaned it. It took a week for this thing to really dry, and I cleaned it, except for hours pulling pine needles out of it. And I'm looking at it, and I was like, how can I get this detail to show up? And then all of a sudden it hits me. I remember being in kindergarten, and they'd send you out and get a leaf off of a tree, and then bring it into school when you take your paper. So that's what I did, and that's what I've have done with anyone that I think will show up detail, and they think it's really cool down in the museum. They got them hanging up. Jeff Meldrum's seen that for the first time. And he's like, I've never seen anybody do that, or I've ever heard anybody doing that. So Jeff Meldrum actually calls it, well, sorry that he's gone now, but he actually called it the Odell method is what he called it.
Ah.
If you look there real close beside my computer is a deck of cards. While we were going over the stuff that we were talking about, we were also playing cards, and he kicked my butt.
Hillary, do you use the Scaniverse? I have, Hillary. I actually used it on the one that Mason had found. It's not bad. Sometimes it's not the greatest unless you get really good, move it around a good bit to get it to come up. But it will show some the depth in it a lot. But yeah, I have used it. That one there. I see. I'm here. Okay, I'm gonna preface this with saying I'm not a big proponent of tree structures. I'm really not. But this I found in the area which I consider probably I guess I would say my research area. I go there quite a bit. Found this last year year before, wasn't it, Danny?
Yeah, it was about a year and a half ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was our first camp out in October of
October of
23, right? No, 24.
24. October, October of 24. And then you took me to it. You said, hey, I want to show you something that we found. And then last year, we that's when we were camping. You said, I got to show you this. Come here.
Yeah.
That's looking awesome.
The reason I took pictures of that and documented it is because, a couple of the sticks are upside down for sure. The forks are down, but it mainly is that what they call the floating beam. You see that a lot out in Colorado. You see that a lot out in other places, like up in the Canada and stuff up there above the Pacific Northwest. You see what they call the floating beam.
Yep.
So that was the only reason I took that picture, documented it, and then I took Danny and back to see it last year.
He has shown me some awesome stuff, and I've got to experience some awesome stuff because of this man.
That's in the same area. There's some rocks there. Danny and we split up in two teams. That was me, Tammy, my friend Tammy, Dave that you seen in the last picture. We were together, and my son Danny, Wes, and Tony went on the other side, and they explored the rocks and stuff, looking to see if we could find anything that might resemble maybe where something had been, nesting or something, whatever you want to call it. But I don't think we really found anything. I think you might have found one impression that day, didn't you, Danny?
I found a partial, and that's the one that was the day you found that real good one, and you took me back to it, and I didn't have the plaster. I had the plaster, but I didn't remember that I had it. Here, I was trying to scan it. I tried Scaniverse because I had just where I had talked to Dr. Meldrum that summer at the Bigfoot Festival. I was trying to use it and was trying to learn how to use it, and I messed it up. And I thought I'd taken some pictures of it, but I didn't. But that was the coolest thing I'd seen footprint wise. I think it was the first time I'd really seen a decent, good footprint.
Yeah, that's our camp out, our first camp out. Danny, my friend Tammy, and myself started a group called West Virginia Case Bigfoot Collective, and that's our little group there. We go out and do our camp outs. We're hoping to make that grow over the next, this year, maybe a few people. But yeah, we just have a good time, hang out, go out and look for stuff, sit around the fire, shoot some bull,
Yep.
Have a good time.
Looks fun to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
In April last year, it was a downpour.
Oh yeah, it was horrible.
We made little bridges out of pallet boards that we had there for kindling.
Yeah, that was at Canaan Loop. This here was the picture. This one and the picture before it was at Laurel Fork.
Okay.
Wasn't that the part? Was that the part where we heard something up on the hill paralleling us or walking or something?
Yeah, I think it was Dave. Did Dave have his little parabolic? I can't remember.
I can't remember. But
Somebody they kept hearing something up on the hill. If you see that old gentleman there leaning on the stick,
Yeah.
that's Daniel Boone Smith.
Okay.
Yeah. But they said they were hearing something walk up on the hill.
I didn't know Roger came up from Tennessee to be with y'all.
That is something I found about probably 6 years ago. 5 or 6, 7 years ago.
How far into? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I can't say what it is. It may just be human made because there is a trail nearby. But I was camping at Laurel Fork, and what happened is I got invited to come down. I wasn't really camping. I got invited to come down. They were putting on a BFR investigator was putting on a little event, or some BFR investigators were putting on a little camp out. I got invited to come down. I just got done late the night before, wee hours in the morning, filming with Small Town Monsters. But I went down and met those guys, and they're all sitting around. I decided to take and go for a hike, and I follow this trail out a little ways, and it comes up into this open spot, and here's this stack of rocks. And so I just document it to show people, say, hey, this stuff you could find, but don't always assume that it's Bigfoot related. This could very well be humans because there is a trail somewhat nearby. But it's really neat where it's at. Whoever put it there done a lot of work to bring these rocks there. I mean, because they had to carry them from the creek way down, about an eighth of a, not even eighth of a mile, but 10th of a mile or so away. So they carried all these rocks up through it. Just thought it was pretty neat, so I document it.
Yeah.
That is neat. Doesn't sound like something I'd want to do. I mean,
right?
That'd be a lot of work. A lot of walking.
Yeah. It's the same way. There's pictures of another one in there. And that's another thing that I thought was really cool. What was the feather? The feather stuck in the top of it. I really thought that was neat.
Mm-hmm.
That's really not much there. Just showing an area that Danny, Wes, and I were in. Was it last year, Danny? Last
winter at Summersville Lake.
Yeah.
That's that one thing that we couldn't figure what it was.
It was a break, twist over. I'm not real big on those. I've showed a lot of people, when they see these twists and breaks, if you look really close, you can almost always, see where there's been a scar on the tree, and as a snow load pulls it down or bends it over, it'll cause that twist because of the fibers are stronger on one side of the tree than the other. So I always show people that and try to, I get a lot of flack for it. I get people, oh, no, it's Bigfoot because it's twisted. Well, no, it's not. First thing you need to do if you go in an area, look straight up. If it's in an open area, you're going to most likely have a 99% chance. If you get a lot of snow in that area, it's going to be snow load related. And if you look really close to see if there's any kind of scarring on the tree from a previous, limb break or something like that, it's going to cause that twist. So
this is common sense reasoning.
We'd see something odd, and I'd say, "Hey, Les, what about this?" And then he would show me the way, like he was talking. He would say, "Okay, this does this, and this does this." And that's Summersville Lake when there's no water in it.
Yeah, that was a rough day for me. What was about a 6 to 8 mile hike round trip, Danny?
Oh my God! Yeah, you got where you got hung up.
There's about 8 or 10 inches of snow.
I'd say that'd be tough.
We got to one point in this hike where this logging road went up around the mountain and went down partially down the hill to a flat, to like where one of the logging landings used to be. And I told Danny and Wes, I said, I'm going to go downhill. I'm going to circle back around the back of the face over there, and I'll meet you guys. I'll come up. Well, I start down through there and I start walking, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, man, this is going to be an easy walk. I start to walk. Well, that 10 inches of snow is on top of 3-foot tall briars. So I'm falling through it every step. And I was cut up from my ankles clear to my hips. And I finally made it. And I finally got up back up to him, and we finished the hike that day though.
You the man,
The legend.
the milkman.
Anyway, sorry. I thought it was awful quiet from him. I was waiting to hear him snore.
What was cool is we used the map and was looking at it, and I could see where I was, and Les would send me a picture and he could show me where he was. We weren't very far apart.
Yeah. That is my friend Tammy. We were in the Canaan Loop area, where I heard the howl, the first time I've ever heard the howl. And there's a rock stack that was found in that area back in the ways back. But Tammy and Tony decided that, well, we split up. They were going to go back a certain way and come in. Well, they got stuck in this big old wall of rhododendron and had a heck of a time getting through it. And that's what that's from.
All right.
That's Mason. That's my son.
The Masonator.
Masonator.
Yeah, that's it. That's at our camp out.
Is he wearing a GoPro? Is he wearing a GoPro?
No, he's got a radio. He does got a GoPro. He's got one he wears at times. He's 10 years old now. There's that rock stack. That's the one that's way back in the woods.
So that doesn't make sense. Are there any rocks like that on the ground anywhere besides, creek beds or anything?
There's no there. You have to literally dig those up to get them to get those stacked.
That's crazy.
And to carry those in, look at the second one down, how big it is.
Yeah.
Again, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, let's set here. Come here. I want to show you this, because whenever we go into an area that he's been in, anything that he has seen, he'll say, "Hey, come here," and let us experience what he has and talk about it and explain it and try to, that way to get all of our ideas and throw them together.
Yeah. I mean, cause I couldn't explain it, if it's people if people have done it, why would they do it? Cause it's like, half a mile to a mile back in the woods across these, like where we're at right there is basically what they call blister swamp. It's a peat bog, and it's literally you're on top of peat 2 foot thick. So to get back in there, you have to cross all this, cross a creek, cross another peat bog, then go through laurel bushes to get into this little wood thicket, and that's where we find that thing. So if it's human made, they put a lot of work into doing it.
That's West Virginia Aussie boy.
Yeah.
There's an idea there, but that didn't look like anything I've ever seen property corner wise.
No, this is in the Mon National Forest. There's no property markers there.
Yeah, it's out in the middle of Egypt.
Yeah,
because we got a lot of old Civil War sites or Civil War land around here, and so there's a lot of old farms and stuff where they use those stacked rocks for property markers. But
right.
That's
here's the backstory on it. My son, Daniel Boone, and one of my son's friends a few years ago. I went up and stayed at Canaan Loop. Daniel come in, stayed one night, and then the following day, my son came in with his friend. As my son's coming in, he found this along the road at this cabin where an old pine tree fell. They cut the wood up and said, "Free firewood." He picks up his free firewood, brings it back to the camp, and if you've ever tried to split old pine, even though pine's a softwood, it don't split well. It's and he had an axe that probably couldn't split butter, so he beat on this wood for about 2 hours, I'd say. Finally got all split, and we're sitting there around the fire, and all of a sudden we hear this Ohio howl sound, I guess you'd say. A little bit different, but it just went off. Daniel jumps up, and he said, "Oh my God," he said, that's one of them. That's one of them. And he's out with his parabolic mic. The next day, Daniel had to go home. Daniel went home. And I told my son, I was like, I want to go look to see where we heard the sound. And go across there, go in there, and that's where the rock stack is in the area where that rock that sound came from. So it was pretty neat. We heard the sound and we find something like that in an area where it's got stories, where there've been several stories from within that area. One of them, a friend of mine was there camping just down the road. Heard something come across the creek, and all of a sudden he hears this grunting noise, and then this hand pushes down on his tent and pushes right down on his face right there outside that area.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
They call him Milkman. What kind of milk's he drinking? Got a
Beginning to wonder.
little bourbon in that milk?
it's the funny kind. It's got some color to it.
Poor Jeff.
Anyway,
Okay, Les, you heard
back
him
to the
snore.
goodies.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah.
You heard him snore. You've heard me snore. Who's better?
Now, that was quiet for Jeff. He's not far enough into sleep yet.
Well, Danny, in the chair you weren't so bad, but in the tent you're horrible. That's Danny. We're on a property outside of Seneca Rocks. We're close to 4,000 foot right there. We're in eye shot of Mount Port Crayon, I think is what they call it, the second highest peak in West Virginia.
Okay.
That was a cool evening right there. That was
Yeah.
a beautiful, beautiful evening.
We kept we kept hearing this weird whistle noise, like something down over the hill would hear a whistle.
And we never
You're
did
not
see
too far
that.
from Upper Track there, then, right?
It's kind of, well, try to tell you, kind of give you an idea where it is. It's down. It's more. You go down past Seneca Rocks. You're going down. You know where Triangle Rock is and all that stuff.
No, I don't personally know.
Okay.
Near.
I can tell you a lot about Route 219 and stuff, but
Okay. Now this is on 28 and 55 off of it.
Yeah.
That is a rock stack we found on that property.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah. What was neat, it was right next to a spring head. So I don't know if somebody did that because the property, this is actually on property we were on is somebody that I know, but this is actually at the border of Mon because his property butts up to the Mon National Forest.
okay.
So this was actually on the Mon National Forest, but there's nobody that comes in there. But it was kind of, if you can see the spring air, the spring head's just a little bit to the right. So I don't know, maybe somebody was marking that there was a spring there. I mean, it very well could be. Or maybe one of these things do it to show the other ones that, hey, there's water here.
Yeah, could be. Could be.
You know, maybe in the summertime it's not as wet. So
How far that other stack? How far was it from water?
This one here, or
The
the other
one
one?
before this one.
Well, where it's at, it's a high plateau. Eric Canaan, there's a lot of water. All that peat bog is water.
There's a creek.
There's a small creek about 3 foot wide, so there's water everywhere.
Okay.
But it's nasty water. It's brown. That's why they call it the black water
Right. Yeah.
area. That's Mason. Yeah, he's again out there doing his thing with us.
Yes, he is.
Being Mason. It wouldn't be a camp out without Mason.
I know this guy.
He's away.
Met him in Tennessee one time.
That's my buddy Danny. He's actually snipe hunting right there.
I heard 2 snipes and I got to see 3.
Okay.
What's Mason doing?
He's got the night vision looking down over the hill.
Oh, okay.
It's actually darker than what it looks there, but just camera makes it look brighter.
Yep.
Yeah, one thing about West Virginia, whenever it starts to get dark and down into the woods, it gets dark quick.
I thought you were going to say something. When it starts to get dark, it gets less light.
Yeah.
You think?
Well, let's see. I mean, it's kind of weirdo. And I never realized that we're standing there one evening in the woods, and all of a sudden it just got pitch black, and you could see the sun was still up.
Oh, we got some casting going on here.
Yeah, that is in the area where the structure, whatever, with the cross beam, that's in that area. I found those 22, I think it was. I called a partial print. There wasn't really a whole, seemed like the toes were missing. I found 2 of them actually. And I just, hey, you never know, cast it, see what you can find. And that's just what those are. And yeah, there should be another picture. It'll show you. Yeah, that's the actual print. The impression, I guess you'd say. And the reason I wish I would have sent you those pictures. What are you doing? What are you doing here, boy? No, I didn't send you. The reason I casted these is I was in that area because people had told me that they've had have heard things there, and there's been couple of sightings there. So I went and decided to go to that area and have a look. So I'm walking, find these couple impressions, and I decide I'm going to go on up while the material's setting up. I'm going to go on up the creek, along the creek, and see what I can find. I find a couple of, what people might call tree breaks and stuff like that. The one I did take pictures of because it wasn't in an area where storm load could get to it. It was actually under a canopy. So I took pictures of it. But the neat thing is I would go up and I'd go off to the side a little bit. I follow the creek up, because I didn't use a compass or anything. I just follow the creek, and I'd veer off a little bit and come back down. When I'm coming back down, I'm looking for areas like that have that black substrate. And I'm at the second one I find, and I'm standing there looking, and I got a weird feeling that something, kind of feel like I'm being watched. And then I hear something move, and I turn and look up on the hill, and whatever is up on the hill just took off running, just crashing through. I didn't see anything. Could have been a bear or something. I don't know, but I heard it. And that's the area where Danny and I spent. What, Mason? What do you need?
I need a lantern. That works.
You need a lantern that works.
I also wanted to tell you good night.
All right. Good night.
Love you.
Love you.
Love you, Mason. Night, buddy.
Danny say he loves you, buddy.
Night, Mason.
Everybody says good night.
Good night. Yep. Jeff would say good night, but Jeff's already nighty night. So
Jeff says,
yeah. Here, wait a minute. Jeff's going to send a message now. Hold on a second. There you go. That's his input. Anyway, we'll leave one here.
That is more of the same area there to show you what the area looks like. That's where me and Danny went this past summer.
That's the fern field.
That's the fern field. And I'm walking through that fern field, and I'm walking along and step on something. I said, Danny, I just slipped on something. I said, I hope to God that was a stick. And I still hope it was a stick. But we walked back here a ways, found us a campsite, camped out. That's where Danny fell asleep in a chair.
Yeah. Seems to be a common theme.
so we got a heck of a crew here, right?
I'm telling you.
We have fun when we go out. I didn't even know he videoed that till later, and then one day I was on YouTube, and on YouTube they'll have these little mini clips.
It's a short,
and the shorts, and it was me sleeping
with like 1,500 views on it.
Yeah,
it's a little tough walking through an area like that.
There were places that stuff was thick.
Yeah. You don't know what's down in there.
Oh yeah. I mean, we're in rattlesnake country right there.
Oh yeah. Big time. Yeah.
Yeah. And he said snake, and I was like, what?
I'm like, I hope that was a stick, man.
Yeah. I mean, they make boots, but
I got gators now, Les.
I got a pair, but they don't fit. I gotta get a new pair. That was
some gators.
that was my little setup for tonight.
That works.
Yeah. Danny had a little tent off to the side there. As you can see, his tarp area down on the bottom. That's his little.
Yeah.
Was that after you woke me up,
No.
or that was before we went to
This is
sleep?
before we went to sleep.
Okay.
This is after I woke you up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm laying. It was like 2:15. I hadn't went to sleep because I was listening to coyotes. Man, their coyotes were going nuts everywhere. Danny, I can hear chainsaw running in the tent, and I'm listening to coyotes, and then all of a sudden I hear behind the tent at 2:15 or behind my hammock at two. It was like I said, 2:15 in the morning. I hear like a grunting noise, and I'm like, there's something, I said, I don't know what that is. I'm trying to listen to it, see if it may be something like that. Maybe there's a bear back here or something. But I could hear this noise. So I got my radio because Danny had his radio laying in his tent. And I'm like, Danny.
Yeah.
Never moved. Danny. So I put the radio down. And so I'm like a little bit louder toward his tent going, Danny. 45 minutes later, I finally had to scream his top of my lungs, Danny. He's like, huh, what? I said, I think there's something out here, man. So he gets up, I get out of the hammock. We didn't find anything. We looked around for probably an hour.
Yeah. And he didn't have his boots on, and I did.
You had his boots
And
on?
he looked at me and he goes, "You were sleeping in your boots?" Oh yeah. And he said, "Why?" I said, "Because in case I needed to get up like this."
Yeah, that's true, Hillary. But I told him the interesting part of it is I heard that grunt noise, and what really got me alert is I didn't hear anything go through the water, but I heard the water noise change. Like because right behind us there's like a little log, and the water was running over that log, and it makes a certain sound, and it's like continuous. Well, that changed, and I'm like, wow, something must have moved something. So that's why I got him up. Well, the next morning we're looking around, and I looked down. I said, Danny, do you see that rock? And right down behind my hammock, you see this little triangle rock. And we went down. You could see where it had been laid flat. Where it had been. It was laying flat. It had been picked up out of that spot because the spot was still in the moss, and stood up on its end with the sharp point of that triangle pointing straight up. And that was the only thing we found of any interest there, after that night.
And he's right. The water sound. He said, "Can you hear the water?" And it completely changed the way it was moving in the rocks, and it was weird.
This is me. Who is that? Chris? I mean, is that you, Danny? No, I can't see it.
It looks like Tam.
Is that Tammy? Yeah, it's Tammy.
Yeah, it's Tammy. And then Chris.
Yeah.
Our new buddy, Chris Hinkle.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Little exuberant, I guess you'd say.
Oh, he loves to look at stuff.
Yeah. So
it's funny you should use that Hinkle name because I know some Hinkles there in Upper Tract, West Virginia.
He's from, where's he from, Danny?
He lives up not Parsons, up in the eastern arm of West Virginia.
Yeah, that's right. He's over in the Thumb.
Yeah, and I can't think. It's either Hinkle or Hickle. I can't remember. I just thought of that.
I know a Hickle too, but he is in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, his name's Hickle.
Is it Hickle?
Hickle. Okay. How about that?
He's from over in the Thumb area. Over, I just can't remember exactly where. It's not quite over.
He's
It's not quite over there in Charlestown or anything. It's close to that area, but
Harper's Ferry maybe or something.
Yeah, around Harper's Ferry, Charlestown. Ranson. It might be Ranson. That might be. I think that's where he's from.
Yeah.
They got activity up there too.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Is this when we saw the shadow, or was this?
This is the same day. Yeah. I don't know what the hell we saw, but
Yeah, that was freaky. That was weird.
There we go.
Okay, these are from the area where we were all at, but they were sent to me from another guy from that area. He said, "Hey, I found these. I wanted to send them to you." These were up more close to the Spruce Knob Lake area, but that's real close to Osceola.
Okay.
I can't 100% say what they are, but he sent me stuff like that. But he found several.
Sorry, go ahead.
He found several impressions in that area.
Yeah, Hickle fella, he's not too far from us here, from me. That's probably about two. If he's in the Ranson area, he's about 2.5 hours away.
I think that's where he said he's from.
Yeah.
Those are the ones we had.
Week.
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, we're looking right here.
Right. Yeah, that was after I brightened it a little bit to get it to show up.
That's pretty wild.
Yes, it is.
And
that is like the third picture from that 3-shot series.
Yeah.
Is what the guy was told us, I guess.
and I still haven't heard anything back from him.
I have his phone number now. Laurel gave me his phone number because he contacted Laurel.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah, I have his phone number.
Awesome.
These are the ones at Sutton Lake. I'm not 100% what they are.
Yeah, we had fun. I love it.
I lean more toward probably human, but the only thing that makes me, veer a little bit is after we had found these and casted them, there was two gentlemen working on a car down the road, and we were walking back to Danny's truck. Was it your truck or my truck at that time, Danny?
Your truck. That was Halloween weekend.
Okay. This is the first time. Yeah, my truck. And the guy in the little car said, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And we're like, "We're just looking for wildlife footprint, wildlife tracks." He goes on by. His buddy goes on by. We get my truck. We go down the road. Well, his buddy was in the Ford truck. Was a big old boy, and he made sure to tell us 10 times. He's 6'5", 368 pounds, or something like that. And he said, "What are y'all doing?" I said, "We're just looking for wildlife tracks." And he went on. He said, "Well, I found Bigfoot tracks over here at so and so." And I was like, "Yeah, we just came from there." He said, "Yeah." He said, "I found them over there." He said, "It looks like a mama walking with his baby." He said, "I followed them way back up into the mud flats, way back up under the ridge." He said, "There was a little skiff of snow." He said, "I was able to follow them even after I got out of the mud flats." And that's the reason. That's the only reason I kind of consider these sometimes is because of that story. And he didn't even know what we were looking for.
Yeah, when he said Bigfoot, we just kind of turned and looked at each other and grinned. What's neat too is as deep as those are. I mean, here we were walking on top of all that. Man.
Well, and the reason we're in that area is there's a local taxidermist there. He casted back in 2012 or 2014. If you watch one of the Small Town Monster episodes from West Virginia, he's in it. His name's Chip, and he found tracks like that, and he casted 2 of them, and they were like extremely far apart. And he said he's heard the sound, which sounds like he said almost like the sound of an elk and an elephant bugling way up on this ridgeline in that same area. So, and that's been caught or heard before. And I got a video here recently from Laurel to Bigfoot Museum, sent it to me, of a lady that was by the lake actually recorded a sound that sounds like a howl.
Okay.
The biggest one I ever found is 13.5 inches. I've only found I myself. I mean, we found these, but I've only found like legit, what I consider cast maybe maybe 4 or 5 at the most. The one that I cast in 2020 is the biggest one. Everybody's like, why is there only one print? And I'm like, well, I said, it was in January of 2020. We had a snowstorm the week prior. We had real warm weather for like 3 days. We had like 60 and 70-degree weather in that January. I decided to go out and have a look around. Was walking around with my son Jax. We were hiking and looking at stuff. And I looked, we were in a pine forest and in the pine duff. When you're looking through pine, in those areas, you don't want to look for an impression. What you want to look for is the discoloration in the pine duff. If something that disturbed it, it goes from being that grayish color, brown to grayish color, to almost like a black decaying like material. I seen that under a tree, walked over, found an impression. It was about 3/4 1 inch deep. Decided to cast it, and it turned out to have 4 toes, mainly because there was a root where the pinky toe would have been, and that was just the first cast and the coolest cast. And I think that was the reason there was only one, because I think the tree it was under actually saved it from the prior storm.
Some of these might be repeats.
That's Mason with his cast right there.
Okay.
I don't know. That guy hiking with the sandals on kind of freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah. At least you don't have white socks on.
Yeah, right.
You're liable to see anything here.
No, Greg, I've never found any with toenails. Never found any marks.
Okay. I think we got a couple more here. Some of these are repeats.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's the last one I have from it.
Okay.
Back over here.
I see Skidder operator on there says something about 36-inch tracks were found by Indian Army. I have a hard time with that.
That's huge. My gosh.
Yeah. I mean, if we got something out there that's 8 foot tall and putting out a 15, 16-inch track, and you got something that's got a 36-inch track, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's definitely not Jeff.
But you do hear about the mountain giants in Siberia, which they talk to be anywhere from 18 to 26 feet tall. So maybe so,
I don't want to see one.
No, I don't either.
They have big.
Yeah, they have toenails like we do. I'd say they would, but I wouldn't think they'd grow extremely long. I mean, I figured they would wear. There's somewhere down the road they would wear off. Wear down. I'd think. And with with something being barefoot like that, I think the meat on the bottom of the foot would become, more pronounced. Going to be thicker. The pad's going to be thicker, and I think it would also happen.
Sure.
That's just my opinion.
So how many have you seen? Have you seen any hominids? Less?
I've had a couple experiences, but I can't say that I can't concretely say that I've seen them. A couple years ago, I was driving along. I was almost into Elkins. I looked down at this one area on the Tigert River. I look at it every time I go up to there because I just like the view. There's big rocks in this river, and I seen something standing on one of these big rocks. And once I'd done all the measurements and everything, and done all my investigation, it's literally half a mile away. I mean, so whatever it was big. I can't say it was or was not a bear. I can't say that. But what the interesting part is, I went back here 2 or 3 times, and I've let people know that I was there looking around. I had a lady call me, say, "Hey, my son wants to talk to you." And I talked to him, and he told me his sighting that he had like within months of mine, or my, whatever you want to call it. and it was literally not even 2.5 miles away from where I thought I had a sighting. But to this day, I can't say for sure. Yeah, I did. The other time was last year. Me and Danny and all of us were doing our hike. We're walking along this little forestry road, and I see something probably 50, 60 yards down, parallel us as we're walking. And I caught it out of the corner of my eye. I got about a maybe two second sight, 2 second look at it. I went down to where I seen it, and it was, you could see where something had walked through the leaves, and there was sticks sticking in a row. I don't know what those are all about. That was pretty neat. So we did like a grid pattern type thing, or not a grid pattern, but like a search and rescue type thing. We went so far apart and we walked. Danny seen something. He said, "Hey, Chris, is that you?" And Chris was like, "No." And Chris was in a different area. And Danny seen basically what I seen. It looked like something black had walked through. But those are the only two times. That's the only two times I've seen had a possible sighting of something.
Yeah, and what was weird was where Les and I was down in the woods is where he saw it, and what I saw was back up where we were at first. And whenever I yelled at the guy to see where everybody was, everybody walked by and you could see their clothes. And like you said, I just got like a 2-second quick look at this, just like a black shadow just between two trees. And you could see everybody's blue jeans, you could see everybody's shirt. And I was like, it was weird. It was kind of interesting, but kind of weird.
But there's a pretty neat story I could tell you from close to that area. I went and interviewed a guy that he didn't want to say Bigfoot at all. He's like, I don't know what I seen. He said, but it was tall, it was hairy. He said, you just make up your own mind. He said, but he took me to where it was at, showed me where it crossed the road in front of him. He described it as being more not like one solid collar, but it was more patchwork collar. He said it had blonde here and there or whatever, lighter colors. So I talked to him, interviewed him, and his neighbor agreed to let me stay in his field and like listen, because there's been vocals and stuff that he's claimed. So I'm sitting in this field, and I had a van I had set up like a camper. I had everything in the back of it. And I look off to my left, like if I'm looking straight ahead at 12 o'clock to my 9 o'clock, I look and I see this little light moving. And I know this is going to make people like, oh, hell, he's going to talk about that stuff. But I see this little light moving, and I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking it hit somebody maybe with a flashlight. But there's nobody there. And I watch this light just move ever so slightly along this fence line, and then it goes out, gone. This light didn't emit light like on anything. It was almost like a soft glowing ball, and then it pops back up and it heads up. It goes toward the fence line. And there's a cabin on the other side of this fence line. It heads toward that cabin and gone. So next day I asked the landowner, I said, hey, have you ever experienced anything weird here? He's like, what do you mean? I said, any lights? Have you ever seen any lights? He said, oh, no, I ain't never, no. So I was like, okay. I go home. A week or so later, he calls me. He said, man, he said, I told you I haven't seen anything. He said, but I just want to tell you, I did, but I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want you to think I was nuts. I was like, well, what was it you seen? I said, you see a light? He said, no. He said, my brother and I were working on the fence line that you seen this light. And he said, that cabin? I'm like, yeah. He said, that's my brother's cabin. He said, he comes up there, it's his hunting cabin. He said, we're working on this fence line. He said, I get this feeling that I'm being watched. He said, I'm uncomfortable. He said, I turn around. He said, I put my head up and look up toward that cabin. And I knew exactly what trees he was talking about. He said, there's one big oak tree on the left and one big oak tree on the right. He said, I look up there at that oak tree on the left. He said, I see this thing peek out from behind the tree. I said, what do you mean by thing? A Bigfoot? He said, no. He said, this thing was just a black figure. He said, I can't say shadow. He said, there was substance to it. He said, it just leaned out from behind the tree. And then it went back. He said, I stood there in amazement. He said, I watched, thinking, something's going to come out. He said, and nothing ever moved. He said, then all of a sudden, on the other side of that cabin, he said, I could see from that tree to that tree. He said, this damn thing peeks out from behind the tree on the other side of the cabin. He said, it never once moved from one tree to the next.
Oh, wow.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Hi, William.
definitely.
Hey, William, how you doing, buddy? Did Jerry die?
I'm assuming his wife had a question.
Oh, okay. Yeah, where he's talking about, where Jeff was talking about before nap time, that's not too far from where we talked about going this year, or on one of our expeditions. Bickle.
Oh, Bickle's Knob?
Yeah.
Bickle Knob.
And
That's
'cause I sent you a picture of that area.
I couldn't get it to come up.
And one of these days I'll actually get out and do. I'm so looking forward to getting out and doing what you guys do. I just haven't got. I live right by Big South Fork National Park, or whatever it's called here in Tennessee. So I'm looking forward to getting out, because there's been reports out of that area as well.
Cool.
That's all tied in with Daniel Boone National Forest.
Right.
Where is Daniel Boone National Forest? I've heard of it, but I've not actually seen it. I'm not for sure where it's at.
The same damn state you live in, Roger.
I know.
It's Kentucky.
Kentucky.
I want to go to the LBLs where I want to go, just to go check that out.
Yeah, I'd love to go here in the next couple of months, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Headed there in April. I'm looking forward to it.
Are you? Because I was hoping to go sometime in April or May, but I'm not going to be able to make it.
I've heard
Pretty
so
cool.
much about that place. We go to Holland's Hunt Camp down in the Talladega National Forest. We have a little meetup every once in a while. And last time we were there, my wife and I had fingerprints on the back windows of our SUV that from the middle print, from the top to the center of your fingerprint, was about an inch and a half, inch and a quarter down. So whatever it is had really long fingers. But yeah, I've got pictures of the fingerprints, and my wife saw orbs, and we hear that area is super hot for things.
I tried to tell them the picture, or I tried to tell them about the video you made that time and had the prints on your van.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember the whole, but it was really cool.
That was a Bickle Knob. Daniel and I were up on top of Bickle's Storrs Knob and Bickle Knob, and he came up because that's Daniel's area, and we went up there, and he's telling me a bunch of encounters and stuff, and before, while we were up there during the day, I parked my van. I had everything set up to where I was going to sleep in my van, and I took a rake with me, a garden rake, and I scraped all the ground all the way around my van. That way, if anything come in around the van, I would find the prints, because it made it to it's like an inch and a half, real soft material. Daniel left. I went to bed. Never had any kind of activity. Got up next morning, didn't see anything. But Daniel told me about another spot. This is the first time I was down near the Otter Creek area, and he said there's been some stories, or there's been activity in Otter Creek area. So I headed down toward the Otter Creek, but there was a forestry road that shot up the hill, and I pulled over there. I was like, well, this would be a cool place to finish out the YouTube video, just say, hey, whatever. I messed up on the video 2 or 3 times and had to start over. It was like the third time, I believe, when I started it up again, and I hear this knocking noise. Could be a woodpecker, but it had the weirdest cadence. Then I heard people talk about hearing it. It sounds like Morse code. Well, that's what it reminded me of. So I was like, I got to go check this out. So I went to the back of my van. That plays a part in it. Went to the back of my van, pushed the button to raise my tailgate. Got my backpack out, got my gun out, put it on, Got my stick, started up the mountain. Walking up the mountain, looking at any place that had some soft material to see if there any footprints. The only thing I found was some boot prints. Get to a certain part, up about halfway up, and I hear something moving. And literally, guys, I could look off to my left and see 100 feet. It wasn't overgrown. I mean, this is literally 100 feet. And I'm thinking, okay, well, it's a deer or a squirrel, but I don't see any of it. And again, that might not have anything to do with it, but I'm like, I don't know what that was. In the video, I'm like, I don't know what that was. And I didn't say what's going on, but I hear this something walking. I go up to the top of the mountain. I do my due diligence around the top, look down over the valleys and come back down, walk down to the van, walk around to the back of the van, getting ready to push the button. And I'm like, look at my window, and there's a handprint on top of the tailgate. There's one down by the windshield wiper. Right below where this hand is here, you can see where it looked like hair. It was like it was wet, rubbed and left a mark. And then down below it, like where I'd say like maybe its chest or somebody's chest or something's chest or belly might have leaned in and touched the window there. But like I said, you could tell because I had dust on the car from the road. Whatever touched this was after the dust because it had been wet, and there's a little stream that runs right there and left this on the back of the car. And I tell people, I don't know if it's Bigfoot related. That's creepy, but it's also creepy to think maybe somebody was there, looking in my van. But I tried. I was like, man, I need to get home. Because I didn't have anything with me to lift anything off, or I wanted to get to Elkins or wherever to grab stuff to lift this stuff off. And as I left, I knew there was supposed to be rain. As I went down almost to Elkins, I had a downpour, and it basically washed everything off. I mean, it was only mud and dust. There was no the Alba Vernex or whatever you want to call it, the oily substance. There was none of that on the windows. There was a little tiny bit of left when I got home. Tried to pull it off with some tape. Nothing really come off. So I got some pictures and a story to tell about that.
Yeah, yours sounds a little similar to ours. Is that when we drove in, I noticed how dusty everything was. So my wife and I talked about coming in through the side doors on our SUV. Yeah, hey, that's it.
Oh yeah,
in our SUV, and that way we didn't put any prints on the back.
Right.
Well, I think we were 2 days into it, and I got out. And I was walking around the back of the vehicle and I saw these. Now these prints lasted. So you're looking at the print, the biggest print you see, not the one that's a palm print on the hatch, on the glass, that center print right there from the top of that to the bottom of that is what I was telling you is to the center of what your fingerprint would be, where your fingerprint changes directions and starts going up instead of down.
Look how far apart.
Yeah, that was an inch and a quarter. So, and it does have dermal ridges. Jerry.
Yeah, there's other pictures here. I got other ones. I'm going to show them here in a minute. Yep.
But there's the palm. So the fingers were long. I didn't think anything of it when I first saw it, but I called over a gentleman by the name of Flat Rock, and he's got lots of. Well, I think Flat Rock came. Roger came over. Bigfoot Bud, and they all came over, and they were like, "That's a juvenile." So, but anyway, that print stayed on. It rained the day we left. It rained all day, all the way back from Talladega, Alabama. We stopped in just as we got over Tennessee at the pan place where they make Lodge cast iron pans. And with all of that rain, those prints were still there.
You probably had the what they call the Alba Vernex, which is the oiler substance.
That's what I heard.
Yeah. I just pulled up my video. Let me see if I can send this screenshot to Jerry. Come on. It's because your picture right there at the tailgate is very, very extremely similar to the one.
Look how far apart they are. That would be like the tips there, Chad.
Yep.
And that bigger smudge, that would be like the palm.
Yep. And what it looked like is it was kind of bending over because of the fingertips.
Yeah, that's
And
what. Same
was
way with
looking-
mine. Like it was like bending over the window, looking in the window.
Looking in. And my wife said,
Oh man!
after that, yeah, there you go.
You can.
But
see
after that,
the
we had to get a cover for the back window because she said there's no way in hell she's gonna
Let's see the dermal ridges.
sleep in there with the.
See the
Yeah,
dermal
see
ridges.
down there is where it switches directions.
Yeah, you'll see that in mine too. If you get, it's same thing.
Yep.
It's got the same thing.
Hey, Wendell. Oh wow, that is freaking cool.
Man, that's so similar. That's incredible.
And I don't know if you've ever seen, but Roger has if he knows who Roger is, but Roger had him and Wincan Clint that's in chat. Ken, not Clint. They have footage of orbs they took through night vision that same night or the night before. And then my wife, the night before we saw the orbs out behind our SUV.
Cool.
Hey, Chad.
Yes, sir.
You said that was that a one of the smaller Cherokees or the bigger Cherokee?
No, that's a Kia Sorento.
Oh, Kia Sorento. Oh, I thought it was.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
There's
I thought it was
there's
Cherokee.
That's cool.
There's a palm. There's part of a palm there.
That's the palm. Daggone. How big is that right there?
Oh, wow. A lot bigger than mine. I can tell you that.
Oh,
So
man.
we go back to, I can't prove it's a Bigfoot, but who the hell was staring in my car?
Yeah,
Yeah. Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
Jerry, I sent you 2 pictures of. Like I said, they're very similar to those.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I hear my phone going crazy here. I'm gonna pull them over here in a second. Oops. You all know about that. Okay.
You're not going. Just make sure you don't hit some kind of weird picture that Chad. Just,
Nah, we don't.
I don't think his wife would appreciate that.
He's still with us.
Still there.
Are you sure?
Well,
At least
let's
he's
see.
moving.
Yeah, he's still with us.
He's still with
Still
us. Anyway, all right. Let me go get those photos real quick. How about like Dogman and stuff? Les, what's your opinion on that? UFOs? Have you seen UFOs, orbs in your travels?
The Dogman thing, I've not seen anything. I've taken reports of them, or supposed reports of them, or what do you want to call it. I don't know what to think about them. It's kind of. I mean, Bigfoot we can explain basically. You know, it's something we know could exist because we have things that are similar. You know, us, other apes, stuff like if they are an ape or whatever.
Well, and Indians talked about them. Many nations of people, many the Mayans, the Aztecs, they all had names for big woolly creatures.
Yeah. And but that's also you say that also brings up the question sometimes, if they've been around this long and they've been sighted in so many places, so many continents, so many countries, how did they get to all those? You know, why is there so many similar things? You know, why have we not caught up with at least something, within all this time? You know, that kind of makes me feel there's got to be something different about them. You know, I'm not saying I'm a paranormal Bigfoot guy, but it just raises questions. You know, why have we not caught up with them? Why?
Well, Les, I'll say this: we did a show Sunday on Lazarus species, and what a Lazarus species is the animals that we think are extinct, but one day somebody looks under a rock and finds one, and oh my gosh, like the coelacanth or whatever that fish that was 80 million years ago, but oh my gosh, they still exist.
The thylacine.
I say, we know that 1% of the world has actually been, including the ocean, has been, explored. So there is so much that hasn't been explored. And I think these things have learned to adapt because, through time, they've seen what's happened to their people, their fellow footers or fellow feet or whatever you want to call them. I think, in my opinion, that they all there's so many different looking ones because just like humans, one time there was all the land was together.
Yeah.
And then the land bridges and everything, and they moved to different locations and they
Yep.
adapted. You get the Yeti in the snow areas, and they've just
Definitely.
adapted. So it all makes sense to me, and that's why I tell people when we get into conversation about Bigfoot, when somebody's so adamant that Bigfoot doesn't exist, and I'm like, today, and I'll just tell you today, and this is just an example. Today they found an animal that they didn't know existed, and they're like, "How do you know?" I said, "Because it happens every day.
Yeah.
Every day they find some sort of organism that they don't know about."
Right.
Didn't you say something about there was a fish or something I saw on a news feed or something that had been extinct for like thousands of years?
Well,
the coelacanth they thought was extinct for several thousand or a million years, but it was in the 1920s when it was actually discovered again. The Forrest, what's his name? He looks for the extinct animals now. It was actually his grandfather that rediscovered it.
Oh wow!
And they rediscovered it in was it Japan? I think it was. The fishermen fishing trawlers were catching them in their nets, and they went to a fishing market and actually discovered the coelacanth was actually alive. And that's how I think that was in it might be 1920s or 1930s.
I think it was the 30s, if I'm correct. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if things like that exist and we didn't know about it for millions of years, because obviously it's a fish, so we're not going to find the fossils unless it's in a rock. We're not going to find the body floating around probably because it's probably getting eaten by whatever. But a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch or whatever you want to call it is obviously got a brain that thinks well, and it's learned to hide its footsteps.
Okay.
Hide its footsteps. It's learned to, do whatever it can to not be found. And sometimes they slip up. I think that's what we find. I often wonder why we only find one track when somebody talks about it, and I say, well, it's learned to. I feel it's learned to hide it's learned to cover its tracks one way or the other, and maybe they just missed that one. I don't know. These are questions.
Yeah, South Africa. You're all right. I remember that now. I don't know why I was thinking Japan. Maybe I'm thinking something else. But yeah, South Africa.
Okay, we have a photo pulled up here.
Yeah, that's the handprint on the fingertips on the back of my van.
Okay. And there's another one. There we go.
That's the handprints on the top. That's on top of the car, on top of the hatch.
Yeah. Yep. Now here's your window.
Yeah. Well, what you can't see in that one is right below there is where you can see that what looks like hair had rubbed the window.
Right.
Yeah, down in that area.
Yeah. There's a little something right here too. It could be a little bit of a hair scruff. That's interesting. Yeah, definitely leaning on the car looking in, I'm sure.
Yeah.
William brings up a good point. When they travel as a family unit, they travel just like a wolf pack does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's possible, but I don't think they feed that way. I think they split up to feed. I think they have some that are foragers and might bring food back. I think some are scavengers, but I don't think they feed on the same spot, because if you have animals like this, they would probably, especially what people claim the size of them, if they are that size, I think they would decimate the food source within that area within a short period of time. I just don't. Yeah, I think
bears live with them too, so and eat them. Supposedly eat the same thing.
But I don't fall into that camp where a lot of people think that deer is their main source of food. I don't think that is either. If you look into a lot of reports, majority of reports are, sightings definitely are roadside or road crossings. But if you look at a lot of other reports, when it comes to food, there seems to be fish related, whether it's water, fish related, fish camps, fishermen seeing these things take their fish, or stringers coming up missing. I think fish is probably one of their major food sources. I also think they are scavengers for sure. There's been a lot of stories where they get into dumpsters and stuff like that. I think they're like bears. They eat multiple nuts, grain or multiple nuts, berries. I think maybe they also are, um, for lack of better words, I think they may be predators of household pets. In some cases, because there's been stories. They maybe come in to take pets. Uh, so I don't think deer. I don't think, and the reason I don't think deer all the time is their main food source is because I think there's a reward to risk ratio there that's just not doesn't fit maybe their intelligence.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're smart enough to know, hey, I mean, I definitely think they're ambush predators. That's why when I tell Danny when we go and we look, a lot of these guys will get out and they'll walk game trails. Don't walk to game trails. You can walk them, but don't look for tracks on the game trails. Look for evidence off the game trails, because if they're ambush predators, they're not going to be on the trail. They're going to be off the side of it, either hiding somewhere or within jump range or something to that game trail. So look for that area.
He'll look at me and he'll go, "What do you not see?" And I'll be looking around, and he'll look at me and he'll say, "Food. What do you think is here that is edible?"
Yeah, William Nighthawks talks about pine trees.
Yes.
The good source. Believe it or not, pine nuts. There's a lot of pine nuts they could eat. A lot of different other things. Certain pine needles are edible. For us. I mean, I'm sure for a lot of others. I mean, I make tea with white pine. I make with white pine needles and stuff. But yeah, I think their food source is very diverse. I don't think it's one thing. I also have a theory that I haven't proven yet. I'd like to somehow get data, but when they say, I've heard, I think it's the BFRO states it, 85% of sightings are roadside sightings or road crossings.
Right.
And I've always wondered, why is that? What if that's a way? What if it's a way they've adapted to hunt? You see these deer run across, they get hit. Do they hang around and later they just come in and take that deer? Do they scavenge? Roadkill. It's already dead. They just come in and take it. Possibly. I mean, is that why?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't doubt that they eat deer. I just don't think it's their main food source, Greg. I mean, there's multiple stories where people have shot deer while hunting, and they know where the deer is at. And they go back or something, or they go look for it, and the deer's gone. There's been multiple cases in states that have hogs, that's overrun with hogs. Hogs have been shot, dumped on a property and they go back and a 250-pound hog's gone. So yeah, I think, and again, in some of them areas there have been reports of these things. So I don't think, like I said, I just don't think deer are the number one or the primary source.
Well, I'd say they're about like us. I mean, you probably get tired of eating meat all the time. I don't personally, but I mean, they might want vegetables. It's part of their diet. It's just part of, keeping their body running, energy.
Area.
Yeah, and that too. Yeah.
Like a regular animal that's out in the woods, they're looking for shelter and food and water all the time.
Well, that's the first thing. That's one of the first things people have asked me. What's the first thing to look for when you want to find these things? And that's one of the first things I tell them. Do your research. Look into the areas you're at. See if there's any kind of sightings or stuff. Maybe historical sightings. But do your research on the area. Is there a viable food source? Is there water? And there's shelter? Any living animal is going to need all three. So if those three things there, it's go look in that area.
Good stuff.
I agree.
What about we're at 2 hours and 5 minutes in? What's the most, I don't know, scariest occurrence that you've been told about? Most hair raising, we'll say, or
Harrison County, West Virginia, Margaret, a little town called Margaret. In the 1970s, this gentleman just got back from Vietnam. He was living on a farm with his mother. His dad had already passed away well before, like back when he was like early, like 10, 12 years old, something like that. They had a farm. His mother lived there. His sister lived there, was recently divorced, had a few kids. She was living there. He got back from Vietnam, and this farmhouse was, a little ways from the nearest little town to go get food. It's like I said, it's like in the early 70s. So once a month, the mom and the sister would go to the store, and they'd buy all the food they need for the month. He was left, he was just back. So this time he was asked, "Can you watch your nieces and nephews?" And he agreed. So he's in the house, and they go to, I don't know. One of them had to take a bath or something. They went to check. Anyway, water was involved, trying to see if and they found out they didn't have water. The water was off. So he knew that the pump was in this the cellar of the one part of the house. There was a pump for the well. Mm-hmm. So he said, I couldn't go and leave the kids. A couple of the kids were awful young, but his nephew was old enough. He said, "Hey, I need you to go down to the basement, go over in that cellar, see if the pump's running." He said, "There's a light down there." He said, "If that light's on, we have power, but go check on it." And his nephew's like, "No, I don't. I'm afraid." He said, "You'll be all right." He said, "It's just because the way he described it, went out this little back door, go across the yard, and this farmhouse had a little outkick on it. And that's where the well was at." He said, "I'll stand here at the back door. I'll watch you go across. You go ahead and go down there." So he agreed. He's standing at the back door. His nephew goes across the yard, starts to go down the steps, toward the cellar, and he sees not the nephew, but the nephew, the kid's uncle, sees this arm come around the corner of the house. He said it was red in color, had about 4 or 5 inches long hair hanging from its forearm. This big hand reached around and went to grab his nephew by the top of the head. And he screamed, yelled at his nephew, and his nephew kind of looked and seen it and ducked down and rolled across the yard and took off running. He said he immediately grabbed the shotgun that was in the corner of the kitchen, ran out the door, ran across the yard, and ran over to the corner of the house. And he said when he got around the corner of the house, he said it was just a field. And he said about 100 yards or so on the other side of that field was wood line. He said, "I don't know how whatever this thing was got across that field in the time that I ran from that door to that corner of the house." He said, "But I seen nothing." He said it was gone. There was no sight of anything. He said, I can't explain it. I said, "What do you think it was?" He said it wasn't until years later when he had seen, I think he said it might have been the Pirates of Gimli film or the Boggy Creek. I don't remember which. He said it wasn't until then, he had finally seen those films that he realized it was one of these creatures that was reaching around and was going to take his nephew, is what he said.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
I've heard that. It might have been you telling that story on a documentary or something.
May have been, yeah.
I think I remember hearing that. Yeah. Wow, that's creepy.
Yeah.
Creepy, scary.
Now,
stuff.
as far as a dog man, when I guess you'd say, I talked to this gentleman and his brother, and it's literally 3 miles from my house where I'm sitting at now. It was in 1962, I think it was 61 or 62. They were walking home. They lived here in the same town I live in. He said we were walking home. He said it was dark. He said we were out messing around, hanging out with these girls and stuff, and we're about 3 or so miles from the house. And so we're walking home. He said no flashlights or anything. He said the moon was bright. He said we could see. He said we see this person walking down. He said it's in the middle of summer, walking down the road. He said but they had a big coat on, big furry coat. And he said, I was like, okay, it's kind of weird. And so they get up close, this thing's across the road a little ways. He said they're getting closer. He said, just out of courtesy, they were like, "Hey, just tell this person we're here. Hey, good evening." He said that's when this thing lifted its head, turned toward him, and he said that's when they noticed it had yellow eyes, had a snout, and had a face like a dog. And he said I said, "What'd you do?" And he said, "We ran as fast as we could run." He said we ran all the way home. I said, He said, I said, "Did you see it again?" He said, "No." He said, it never chased us or anything. He said, "But for the life of me," he said, "I don't know what it was." He said, "But he said, he said, I'm telling you," he said, "it was a thing that had a face like a dog." And that's the only thing I can think of is, the dog man stories.
Wow.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, I don't want to. I wouldn't mind seeing a Bigfoot, but
Right.
not a dog man.
Right.
Nope.
Yeah. I don't know, man. People, you got people say, "I want to see one. I want to see one. I want to see a Bigfoot." And I said, "Man, careful what you wish for."
Yeah.
I just like getting out in the woods and the camaraderie and
Yeah.
learning. You can learn a lot about what's going on out in the woods, and finding things out about these things.
Somebody was asking where Jeff disappeared to. He didn't disappear.
Almost.
He's still here.
Just Jeff being Jeff.
Jeff being Jeff. Wow. I'm sure there's 1,000 other stories from West Virginia, but
There's a bunch.
it's
There's a
awesome
bunch.
stuff, man.
We
Yeah,
love
get
our
up.
state.
It's West Virginia's wild and wonderful. There's no doubt about it. Like I said, I got family around Rennick, all up and down through there, and over around Marlinton.
Mm-hmm.
And some
Marlinton-
cousins over there.
Yeah, Martha's got some stories.
I bet.
There's,
It gets pretty woolly up in some of them areas, man.
Just outside of there, Droop Mountain. Droop Mountain's got a lot of a diverse history of paranormal activity in that area, at Droop Mountain.
Wow.
The ghost soldiers, the witch's house. Yeah, supposedly there was a house that you could only find if it wanted you to see it. They call it the witch's house. The headless horse that pulls the carriage. I think that's from the Droop Mountain area. It's all
Yes,
kind of weird.
I've heard that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been on Droop Mountain several times. Yeah. Up, there's an old tower up there.
The old
you can
tower,
climb.
yeah.
Yeah, I've
Yep,
been up in there a
that's
few
pretty cool.
times. Yep.
Yeah, it's an awesome place. I like going around and I don't know, just walking the grounds up there. It's pretty neat.
Yeah. Brownstown Road. I've spent many a day on Brownstown Road, Rennick. That's not far from Droop, so.
Someone asked if I have a channel. Yeah,
Hillary shared it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just put little videos on there here and there. I haven't put none on there for a while. Just it's nothing spectacular. I don't do anything fancy. I just go out and record what we do and stick it on there.
I thought he was
Go check
talking
it
to
out.
me one day. That weekend that we went hiking and was camping, and I thought he was talking to me, so I was talking to him, and he was videoing, and I didn't know it. I said, "What are you saying?" He turned around. He just turned around and went like this, had his phone, and he was videoing. So I shut up.
Well, that's better than what you asked the last time we was out in the night hunt.
Do what?
We're walking around, and Danny's got his thermal, and I'm over doing something. And I hear, "Hey," I'm like, "What?" He said, "Are you peeing?" I'm like, "No."
That sounds like me and Jeff are at the state park.
He scared the daylights out of me that night. I've got the thermal, and I didn't realize he was as close to me as he was. And as I pan around and I turn, he stuck his face in the thermal, and I screamed.
Oh boy.
He had a two-step chili moment that day.
I bet he did.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. We
Man,
had
that's
fun
good
that
stuff.
night.
Good stuff.
Awesome. Well,
What do you
guys,
think, Chad?
I think it's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep these guys on too late. It's 10:36 back in the east here, Chad.
Yeah.
Well, Jerry, if you didn't live in the future,
That's right.
10:36 in the eastern part of the country at 51 degrees right now. Rain is possible tonight with some temperatures going down in the 20s tonight. Possibly a good day tomorrow. Maybe some rain or snow this weekend. Hopefully some
Okay.
60s coming soon.
It's
Is any of
40.
that kind of?
It's 48 degrees here.
Oh wow,
now. Yeah.
we're down in the 20s now, but up here. But
Hey,
We're
if I
probably-
wasn't sick, I'd take the doors off my truck.
these Jeep people.
don't do that. All the ducks will fall out.
No, all I've got's a Bigfoot. I don't have any ducks in my Jeep.
Oh.
I have a Bigfoot.
You remember when I told you we met the guard or the ranger?
Yeah.
Not only did he have Bigfoot on it, the guy looked at us real funny because he's got a skeleton in the back seat.
And I forgot his eyes were on and they were lit up. And all you could see where it was dark, you could see his two little eyes. And because whenever we asked him, he said, "Have you seen anything strange?" He looked at us and go, "Other than you guys?" I wasn't thinking. I forgot the skeleton was back there, and I forgot his eyes were turned on.
737. You're on the West Coast, skid operator.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
anybody got any questions here, real
I
quick?
don't
I don't want to keep a working man on here too late. So
Yeah, you guys come to West Virginia. We'll treat you to a good weekend. If not, a good meal.
well, Jeff and I have been kicking around the idea here sometime of putting a little meet and greet together here in the East somewhere with some people. So
Because I can.
we
I
might
can
start
cook
reaching
up
out to some people and see if we can't, have a little get together and do some stuff. We had a little mini thing. Mark and Rebecca Green came up. Gosh, when was that, Chad? I don't even remember.
Oh wow.
It's in the early fall up to
Yeah.
the campground down the road here from my house here. And that was a good time, good weekend. Showed them around a little bit. And as soon as he got, I heard as soon as he got into the area up here, he goes, "Oh yeah, you got boogers up there."
When is the LBL thing?
April.
We don't know an exact date just yet. You're not supposed to say
That's
it.
right.
Anyway.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
They won't put it public. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you got to go to the webpage, the Woodwalkers webpage, or on Facebook.
sleep
page.
study camp out.
I think I've got something going on that weekend. Because I tried to look it up, and the possible weekend I'm tied up that weekend.
Is that
All right.
Is that the one with that Martin Grove and all them going to be at? Is that what's going on, or 'cause they did it last year?
No, they didn't do this one last year. They did it in Hollins and Talladega.
Collins and
Yeah.
Talladega is where they've been going, but they're going
Yeah.
back to LBL this time here. But
Yeah.
Martin Grove and Ron Moorhead and all them. Is that who you talking? Is that what they're doing? Is that who's doing it, or?
No, it's
this
the
is
Woodwalkers.
Woodwalkers.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Greg House
Now,
and Spencer.
It's close. It's close to both Daryl and Daryl Denton and
Yeah.
Martin Groves, I believe,
Yeah.
that area.
Hillary wants to hear one from Kanawha County.
Kanawha.
Kanawha.
Kanawha. Kanawha. We got to teach you how to talk West Virginian.
I'm
Yeah.
from Maryland. We pronounce it a little different.
The only one I can really say is she'll probably know where this is at. It's not hurricane. It's called hurricane. It's Kanawha hurricane. I took a report from there. A gentleman was coming. I think he was heading toward Huntington, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he was heading the other way. Something ran across the road in front of him because he just pulled off the road he was on. It wasn't the interstate, went I-64. He was getting ready to pull into his area that he was living. This thing ran across the road, looked at him as it ran across the road, run down over this small embankment, and basically out of his view and was gone. That's basically the only one I have kind of from that area. I mean, it's not spectacular, but I mean, I do have that one.
Yeah,
This is
Wendell will
the-
be signing autographs.
That's
yeah.
the important. Yeah, Wendell signing autographs.
This guy right here, is supposed to be making a trek there. I don't know if he can stay awake long enough to drive 13, 14 hours to get there. But
And where's
Yeah.
he from? Where's he at?
Maryland.
he's
Oh,
in
he's
Maryland. He's 5 miles from me here.
And he's a
5 miles
milk.
away.
Is he a dairy farmer?
Yeah.
Yeah. His family,
Oh.
him and his family. Yeah.
I wish he was still awake. I'd tell him one about a dairy farm.
Well, let me see if we can get him awake. Huh? Jeff,
Oh, yeah.
Last time everybody was calling him.
Yoder, I if I could get away, I'd go, but I don't see it happening right now. I want to go in a worse way. It's not looking good. Hi, Leanne.
Lord.
All right, Jeff. All right. Okay.
He's out.
He's obviously not tentative here. So, but anyway, pro teat puller by trade. Yeah, they keep him busy over there.
Cool.
He doesn't do a whole lot of milking, but all the other odds and ends is what he's working on. So, but anyway, I don't want to keep these guys any longer. Les, we really appreciate you coming on, Danny.
Definitely.
Thanks again coming on.
Thank
man.
you.
And
Thank you for having
You
me.
guys are awesome. You guys are awesome.
if
Thank
you've
you.
never been to West Virginia, you need to go because it is some wild woolly country. It's beautiful, and it's just unique and different. It really is.
The National Forest area is pretty cool. There's a lot of cool
absolutely.
places to see there.
And the
Yep.
best way to see the state is not the interstate that goes up and across.
We only have two, so
Take the back road.
well, we have 3, 77, 79, and 64, and that's it.
I've been on 79 and 64. 77. Yeah, I've been on 77. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah. You gotta get off the main roads and start taking the turns. That's
Yeah, everything
when
else
you
is like
enjoy the
this.
state. Up and down. For sure, man. Okay. All right.
All right, man.
Anything else, Chad? You got anything you want to
I
ask?
don't have anything. I was
And plus
another good show with good people on it.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
man.
thanks for asking. This is fun talking to you guys. I love it.
You keep bringing the
Aw.
stories, we'll keep bringing you on.
Yeah.
Well, once upon a time, there was me and my buddy Clyde. We were standing down the road.
Here.
We
I
call
muted
him Roger for a reason, don't we?
I muted him.
You muted him? Oh, don't mute him.
Oh man, who muted me?
Don't mute him.
Danny,
I
I
got
can't
a
hear
photo
you.
I'll send you sometime, Les.
I can't hear you, Danny. What'd you say?
What?
Hey, Danny,
Hey Les.
can't hear you.
Hey Les.
What?
What?
I have a feeling this goes on during their campouts. So.
Yep.
Jeff's replacement actually stays awake. I didn't want to say that, but no, it's fine.
Honestly,
Hey,
Danny,
he's awake. He's awake.
oh, he's
Holy
awake.
moly, he's awake.
You're awake.
Hi, Jeff.
So what do you think, Jeff? What do you think about what he said?
Oh, he's muted. I'm
He's
sorry.
muted.
Go ahead.
Hey, how's it going?
You tell us.
Going
how's
good,
it
brother.
going. So what do you think of what Les was talking about?
I don't know what Les was talking about.
Well, Les has got a dairy farm.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
I'm glad for winter's going to be over soon. Because I can't work in this crap anymore.
You're all right, brother. You work your ass off, I'm sure.
We still
You
love
guys should figure out by now when you turn these, you start showing pictures. That's usually when.
That's what Jeff goes. He's
Oh,
done.
See these? That's why I wear these so I can hear you snore, Jeff. I know when to start hitting the mute button.
we still love you, Jeff.
That's right, brother.
Thanks.
Yeah, Catherine, come back soon, Les and Danny. Sure. Yeah, we have another show with them soon. That's,
Thank you.
I'm sure there's plenty more.
I don't do this. I do this to everybody. So.
Yes, you do.
No lie. That's no lie there.
Yeah, Seneca Rocks area is really unique.
Jeff has the only dairy farm in the country that has equipped with zip lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm retired from zip lines. I keep telling you guys about this.
I don't know. Enough bourbon in you. You could probably.
Oh
Hey.
wow, jeez, Yoder's being hard on you, buddy.
Boy, pine nut.
He only stays
Yeah.
awake when the guest is a good-looking woman. Unbelievable. Do you have any questions for Les, Jeffrey? Before we turn him loose?
Crap. You probably answered all of them while I was asleep.
Your questions? Well, he didn't know what your questions were.
Chad, you haven't been out in the woods?
I mean, I go hiking.
No, I mean you haven't been out.
No, I have not yet. No, my wife isn't real keen on going with me for that reason. She'll go on a hike with me, but she won't. Yeah,
My girlfriend does the same thing.
Yeah, Robert. Yep.
It's no different.
she won't go off the path with me. So I don't blame her.
My girlfriend tells me that's your time. I'll go to the beach. You go to the woods. You know.
Well, I want to go to the beach too.
A little word of advice for you, Jeff.
Jeff B.
You do that stuff at LBO, you're going to be in big trouble.
He's gonna be going through the woods, and all of a sudden you hear, chomp.
Danny, when are you coming to Kanawha County?
I don't have a clue. I've got a couple trips I need to come to Kanawha County.
Yeah, we're probably if I get the chance to talk to those folks I was telling you about, we'll probably be going down there sometime this summer.
Let's do it.
Thanks,
do it.
Wendell.
Absolutely. Kanawha
Ooh.
County. All right.
Yeah, we need to go.
That's 2.5 hours.
I just looked at that. I'm like, what happened?
Bleep, 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 bleep. That's all. folks.
What happened?
That was a
Yeah,
fast
for 2
half hours, wasn't it, Jeff?
I think it was 2.5. I think it was an hour and a half when I fell asleep.
Pine knot. Bring mustard, Sharpies, and oh god. Night, Hillary.
Yeah,
Cut that off real quick.
Yoder.
Behave
Yeah.
yourself, Yoder.
yeah, Kenny, hit me up. Send me requests on Facebook or something.
Night, Kenny.
I just
Patrick.
like to thank Les for coming on, even though I've slept for 95% of it.
Shame on you.
Oh, you did great.
Disrespecting our guests like that.
You did great.
Hey, there was a few times he wanted to give examples of what Bigfoot sounded like, and we just
All I
turned it
did
over
was
to
hit
you.
the unmute
Just
button.
opened you up. Yeah.
That's right. So you helped.
I know next time I'll be awake.
That's what you told me you'd be awake tonight, and you didn't.
Well, I
Yeah,
thought I'd be.
I'd put money on that. And I'm not a betting person.
All right, y'all. Who we got next week, Jeff?
I gotta
Oh,
check
no.
my
I'll find somebody.
maybe Jerry Garcia.
He's dead.
Sorry, Jerry
Hey.
Garcia. Wrong Garcia.
Ron Garcia.
Jerry's
You
got
make
a beard.
Jerry Garcia happen. You and me gonna talk.
Jerry Garcia's got a beard.
I don't know. I haven't seen him.
I'll say, Jerry, you kind of look like Jerry Garcia.
Not as tall.
Well, not Jerry Garcia now.
Oh,
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, he's a little on the rough side now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks like skin and bones.
For sure.
Anyway,
All right. Thank you, everybody in chat, and check out the Les's channel and his book.
yep.
We shared the links a few times tonight during the podcast, so go back and check that out. And
That's something I can do while I'm awake.
Well, I'll just say one thing about the book, folks. It's not a book that I sat down and wrote a bunch of stuff. It's not a grammatically correct book. It's basically a bunch of reports and stories that I've taken. That's just a compilation in that book. The way it actually come about, everybody's like, oh, you wrote a book. I wrote some of the part in the front. What happened is I had this in a folder to display at the West Virginia Bigfoot Museum. People wanted to buy it. And I'm like, and they kept saying, no, it's not for sale. Some publisher from Charleston, West Virginia walked in the Bigfoot Museum one day and asked the lady at the Bigfoot Museum, could we publish that? And they contacted me, and I was like, yeah, no problem. So they just took my folder and basically put the book together, for the part that I wrote in the front and just
Very
stories. Cool. So the stories are, definitely are not. They're not embellished. They're not been changed. I've never changed them. Like I said, they're not grammatically correct.
You shouldn't. Yeah, that's what you want to read. Yeah.
They're in that person's voice. The way they sent it to me, the way they spoke to me, that's the way it is. So
that's the book you want to read. That's the way you want
to do it.
Absolutely. All right. Okay. Thank you, too. Appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and slide out of here, and we'll see everybody next Tuesday, 8 p.m., Jeffrey. Wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to go, Jeffrey.
Now that the winter mess is over, maybe I'll be better.
Don't be making any promises.
Don't jinx us. I want the winter stuff gone too. Anyway, all right. See y'all next week.
Right.
See everybody.
Bye, guys.